Compare cheap car insurance quotes that really do cut the mustard at mustard.co.uk. Details online, authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
Clyde One's Super Scoreboard Podcast with Taggart's Land Rover, part of the Lookers family. Be ready for any journey. Book now for service and repairs. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard as domestic football takes centre stage once again after a busy week of European action. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst knows the Rangers fans expect nothing less than a win and a performance against Aberdeen. Dundee United, Motherwell, St Johnstone, Killie and Hibs St Mirren all have plenty at stake, and tomorrow it's one of Celtic's least favourite trips as they head along the M8 to Livingston. I'm Gordon Duncan. Joining me this afternoon, Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins.
It's D-Day. D is for desire, which the Rangers fans want to see from their team at Ibrox this afternoon. Some fans accuse certain players of having chucked it, to use their expression. D is also for the Dons, whose job is to get those Rangers fans on the back of the players. And that means that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is in for a fraught afternoon. He cannot afford to drop any points, or the calls for a change of manager at Rangers will intensify. Strap yourselves in, guys. This could be tasty.
Yeah, plenty of good fixtures this afternoon, but no doubt where the game of the day is. It's always interesting when Rangers play Aberdeen, especially at Ibrox, but as Hugh says today, it's a bit more significance on the fixture because of Van Bronckhorst and the form that Rangers are showing. Nothing else but a win will do for him. Big day ahead for him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this afternoon, Gordon. Obviously all eyes will be in Ibrox to see the performance of Rangers against an in-form Aberdeen. Jim Goodwin must be going there with a lot of confidence, but there's a lot of important games as well. Hibs, St Mirren, 4th v 5th, Dundee United, Motherwell desperate for points, both teams, and obviously St Johnstone, Kilmarnock. So looking forward to this afternoon.
Yes, sit back and enjoy. You can get in touch all afternoon on Twitter at ClydeSSB, and I'll give you the nod when the open line is here a bit later on in the afternoon. Plenty of exciting action. Only one place to start really, Ibrox for Rangers against Aberdeen. Andrew McLean is there.
Yeah, well, it really does have the feeling of a vital game for Rangers and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. Booed off here twice in the last couple of weeks. First after a poor display in that 1-0 win over Dundee in the League Cup, and then again after last weekend's 1-0 draw with Livingston. The fans aren't happy with what they're seeing. There's just a real lack of spark and cutting edge to them at the moment, and when fans start making their voices heard and turning against the team and the manager, it is a long old road back. So Giovanni Van Bronckhorst knows that nothing less than 3 points is good enough today, and he'll want them to put on a show for their supporters as well. He's emphasised they need to make a quick start because he doesn't want the crowd to get on their back early on, because that could make it a really tough afternoon for them here at Ibrox, as we saw last weekend against Livingston. Aberdeen probably not the team they want to be facing at the moment either. They've got 4 wins from their last 5. Jim Goodwin really finding success since changing to 3 at the back as well. It allows Bojan Miovski and Duke to play up top together, and they'll be hoping they can continue their good form and maybe capitalise on any potential nerves in that Rangers side. As for the team news, 2 changes for Rangers from that midweek defeat to Napoli. Out go Wright and Morelos, in comes Sakala and Cholak. Alan McGregor starts in goal for them today. The back 4, James Tavernier, Leon King, Ben Davies and Ridvan Yilmaz. The midfield 3, James Sands, John Lundstrom and Malik Tillman is Fashion Sakala and Ryan Kent either side of Antonio Cholak. The substitutes, McLaughlin, Davis, Matondo, Morelos, Wright, McCann, Barisic, Arfield and Devine. As for Aberdeen, no surprise that they are unchanged, just because they've been in that good form. It was a 2-1 win the last time out against Motherwell. It's Keller-Roos who continues in goal. The back 3, Ross McCrory, Anthony Stewart and Liam Scales. Jayden Richardson and Jack McKenzie, the 2 wing backs. Connor Barron, Ilber Ramadani and Leighton Clarkson, the 3 central midfielders. Duke and Bojan Miovski, the strike partnership. The substitutes, Lewis, Morris, Bassoon, Watkins, Coulson, Duncan, Milne, Kennedy and Ramirez. The referee for this one at Ibrox today is Stephen McLean, and the VAR, Nick Walsh.
It's a phrase that gets thrown around far too often in football, Hugh, about it being a must-win game. Based on what the Rangers fans have been telling us for the last couple of weeks, is this a must-not-lose game for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst?
Without a shadow of a doubt. Booed off after a win, booed off after a draw. Heaven knows what the booing would be like after a loss. So he cannot possibly slip up in this fixture, because it would mean that the Rangers fans would demand change. Point number one. It would mean that Celtic would go to Livingston tomorrow knowing that they could build an even greater lead over Rangers in an early part of the season. It would create all manner of tension for that reason alone, and he simply cannot afford anything other than a win. An ugly, scruffy win, it doesn't matter, but a pretty win would be a help.
Yeah, I actually feel like for some fans who call this show, Mark, they're looking for a win and a performance. How much of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's future at the club does come down to today? Are we actually at that stage, or is that just the sort of emotional knee-jerk stuff that comes with the territory of some underwhelming performances?
I think if he loses today, yeah, he does come under serious threat. I think a draw, then he probably limps on towards the World Cup break, and performances and results would then have to pick up dramatically within the remaining 4 games to that. A loss, well, the crowd will tell you what a loss does to you on the pitch, and the board would hear that. Whether they would act come Monday morning before the European game, maybe not, but I would certainly, I think, spell the end for me for him.
Yeah, I think he would struggle. Mark said he would come under pressure. I think he's already at that situation. That's already knocked at his door for me. I think he will know today that, especially at Ibrox, in front of a big crowd, the way Rangers have played and performed, it's not been good. Fans are leaving in their droves after 75 minutes at Ibrox, which is not acceptable to the Rangers supporters. So he needs a big result today. But this will be a difficult game. This is a pressure game. He needs his players to stand up, be counted, and it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I think that's even more of a point that Gordon makes there, because if it gets ugly in the 4 stands at Ibrox, who can handle that and who can't handle that in the Rangers team? Because while under pressure, more than a few of them have buckled.
I suppose the bit that you sometimes overlook, it's easy to look at the perceived disasters that are going on. Rangers are still big favourites for this game though, aren't they? You know, you sometimes find that easy to overlook. You look for the worst case scenario. Yes, Aberdeen are in decent form, but you look at Rangers don't tend to lose domestic games to anyone other than Celtic. Yes, there was the draw against Livingston last week. If you look at the head-to-heads, I think Aberdeen have even struggled to score at Ibrox in a lot of the recent visits. So are we overdoing it a bit?
No, I don't think so. I think that there'll be a test of character today for the Rangers players for me. They know that the manager's under pressure. They know they're getting scrutinised as well. We've got guys phoning in claiming that Tavernier should be stripped of the captaincy, and look at the season that Tavernier had last year. So the players are coming under a lot of pressure. Look, it was a long time ago. I've played there at Ibrox, and the fans weren't having it. There was only 13,000 people turning up. You were getting booed off the pitch. It's a hard place to play if you don't perform. And I think that the big names today, the Kents, i.e. for example, for me, I think Lundstrom's got to step up to the mark. I know that a lot of people like Lundstrom, but I watched him the other night. I thought his work rate was terrible. That's got to improve today. They've got to show a desire and a hunger.
One thing that intrigues me about Aberdeen is the foreign element there. They don't know they're not supposed to win at Ibrox. They don't suffer from what Lee Johnson, the Hibs manager, said was a mental block that Scottish players have when they're playing Celtic or Rangers. Miovski and the Duke, they don't know that this is supposed to be a long shot for them. So if they can just play their natural game, then Aberdeen could be a threat. However, if they take one look at Ibrox, the 50,000 crowd, take it all in and then shrink, then Rangers will be okay.
What do you make of the team, Gordon?
Yeah, it's interesting to Yilmaz in at left back keeps his place going. I think that everybody going along there would agree he was the one shining light the other night there. I think he performed. The rest, it's once again the question marks about people like Ken. I touched on Lundstrom, and I know that people will say, well, hold on a minute, he's been a big player for us. I think watching him the other night, he never broke out a jog for me. Away from home, under pressure at Napoli against a good team, you can't afford to do that. So I think it's a big game for him. I'm not surprised with the team. Once again, I know that there was a debate on the programme last night. Is it worthwhile? Because you get nothing out the wide areas, Gordon. Now, if Livingston go with the game plan, we all know what happened. We all read the papers. We'd seen what David Martindale had worked on all week. Let them have the ball in the wide areas. Let them put it in. We'll defend that. Now, Jim Goodwin will be no different to that, because that's the way Rangers are going to probably play today. Ibrox have got two wide players with pace. They're going to try and get wide. So Aberdeen will have a game plan to say, if Livingston can do it, we can do it. I think that Aberdeen's got a terrific opportunity. If they're positive today, they've got an opportunity to upset Rangers.
Yeah, you look at the goal threat, Mark, Miovski, Duke, as Hugh says, they're on a good mini run. Jim Goodwin's looking for the away form though to improve. It did that, step one, away at Fir Park last week. They will still give you chances. Motherwell scored. You look at Kevin Van Veen, missed an absolute sitter. It was a brilliant 2-0 victory against Hearts the week before that, but again Hearts had chances. So still a big ask for Aberdeen. It's easy to overlook that, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, especially going to Ibrox. You're right when you highlight Rangers are still heavy favourites for this game. But if you're Jim Goodwin and you've been to Ibrox loads of times as a manager, you must say that this is your best opportunity to get something there, to get a positive result. When you're going brave and you're playing two up top against a fragile back four, then of course you've got a chance. But you highlight it as well, Gordon. At the back, Aberdeen are certainly not the finished article either. So if you're Rangers on the other hand, and you're putting in Fashion Sakala and Ryan Kent, who's been underperforming, and Cholak, who's scores goals, then you'd also fancy your chances going the other way.
What a game it's going to be though. Strap yourselves in for Rangers against Aberdeen at Ibrox. And what a fixture card we've got overall. Let's go to Easter Road for Hibs against St Mirren. Roger Hannah.
Yeah, and it's as we're saying at the top of the show, Gordon, 5th against 4th, and St Mirren, they will come here without a shred of trepidation. They've won in their last trip here in February. They've won 6 of their last 9 league games, and that's what's put them 2 points ahead of Hibernian in 4th place in the Premiership. They're without Scott Tanzer, who was in a nasty car accident through the week with his wife. Best wishes to the two of them. But they do have Ryan Strain and Keanu Bacchus up against their Australian teammate Martin Boyle, as they all chase places in Graham Arnold's squad for the World Cup finals in Qatar next month. Plenty for those boys to play for. Hibs have suffered 3 straight defeats since they beat Motherwell here at the start of the month, and manager Lee Johnson's even turned to a psychologist to try and help his players deal with pivotal moments during matches. Interesting though that David Marshall's in the newspapers this morning still talking about mounting a campaign and qualifying for Europe, so he believes that Hibs can turn the corner and get back to where they think they belong. 2 changes from the side that lost here to St Johnstone 8 days ago. Kel McGuinness is suspended after his red card. He misses out against his former team, and Josh Campbell, the top scorer, surprisingly drops to the bench. That means there's places in the midfield for Noah Kenna and Ewan Henderson. So they go with David Marshall in goals. 3 at the back: Ryan Porteous, Rocky Bashiri and Paul Hanlon. Across the middle, Chris Cadden, Noah Kenna, Joe Newell, Ewan Henderson and Marianne Cabraya. And up top it's Martin Boyle with Mikola Kuharevich. On the bench, Schofield, Tavares, Stevenson, Melkerson, Ewan, McGregor, Fish, Campbell and Aiken. St Mirren, unsurprisingly, unchanged from the side that beat Dundee United in Paisley last Saturday afternoon. So it's Trevor Carson in goal. They also have 3 at the back: Marcus Fraser, Alec Gogish and Charles Dunn. Across the middle, Ryan Strain, Keanu Bacchus, Ethan Ehahoan, Mark O'Hara and Richard Tate. And up top, Jonah Ayunga and Curtis Main. On the bench are Minsky, Shaughnessy and Kenny, Flynn, Reid and Kilty, Henderson, Grieve and Brophy. The referee is Don Robertson. The VAR is Greg Aiken.
It was great to hear Hibs fully on brand at the start there, playing the Proclaimers, just to make sure everyone's not forgotten that that's the team they support.
Maybe the psychologist told them to stick it on.
There's every chance. Let's go to McDermott Park. St Johnstone Killie is going to be watched by David Friel.
No Proclaimers here yet, Gordon, but a big game in the bottom 6 between 2 teams who played each other just 24 days ago in the league, so obviously know each other pretty well. Killie edged that one 2-1 at Rugby Park, and it should be tight again this time. Do we look back? I think the last 5 meetings have all been decided by just the 1 goal. St Johnstone have actually won 4 of them as well, so they do have a decent record. They are sitting 9th, Killie are sitting 10th. There's only 1 point between them, so there's plenty of stake in this one. Killie arrive here in the back of a 5-game unbeaten run in all competitions. I think it's 4 in the league. But St Johnstone obviously full of confidence after beating Hibs last weekend in that historic first VAR match. Callum Davidson's made 2 changes from that game. Graham Carey and Stevie May come in for Conor McLaren and Adam Montgomery, so it's pretty attacking lineup for St John's. So it looks like the usual sort of 3-4-2-1. Remy Matthews in goals, a back three of Alec Mitchell, Liam Gordon, Andy Considine with Trey Wright, Milker Hallberg, Ryan McGowan and James Brown across the middle, and Carey and Stevie May in behind Nicky Clark. Subs for St Johnstone are Parish, Bear, Crawford, Montgomery, Gallagher, McLennan, Phillips, Kucheravi and David Witherspoon. As for Kelly, Derek McInnes knows this place very, very well. He started his managerial career here at St Johnstone, returns with a Kelly squad minus the band, Kyle Lafferty and the injured Christian Deutsch. Obviously they have issues in attack, and as Cameron Youngster he'll continue up front, but we need to remember Kelly do have one of the country's in-form players in Danny Armstrong, the little winger that has been absolutely sensational. 4 goals in his last 5 games and has really become a talisman for them. Derek McInnes makes 2 changes from the win over Ross County last week. I think he's just maybe stiffening it up a wee bit. Ryan Alabiosu and Ben Crisane are replaced by Rory McKenzie and Chris Stokes. So it looks like a sort of 4-3-3 formation. Zach Hemming in goals, Lewis Mayo, Ash Taylor, Joe Wright and Chris Stokes at the back. Rory McKenzie, Alan Power and Keir McInroy in midfield, with Danny Armstrong and Jordan Jones beside Innes Cameron. Subs for Kelly are Walker, Dorset, Shaw, Murray, Waters, Donnelly, Alabiosu, Wales and Polworth. And the referee at McDermott Park is Craig Napier, and the VAR is Ewan Anderson.
The VAR, we'll catch on to that I'm sure later on in the show. Let's go to Tannadice. Dundee United against Motherwell. Selina Jackson is going to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, good afternoon from Tannadice. It's lining up to be a pretty interesting game in the Super Scoreboard Derby today in the bottom half of the table. I feel quite lucky to be covering the big glamour tie today. Dundee United have found a wee bit of form at home recently. Of course, those big wins over Aberdeen and Hibs earlier this month. As for Motherwell, though, I'm sorry to say it, Gordon, they've been struggling at home and on the roads. They've picked up just 4 points from their last 7 league games. One of them came the last time they faced Dundee United. That was a goalless draw at Fir Park. So I'm hoping for a more exciting encounter this time round, but I know that might not be great for relations in the studio. Let's get your teams. Liam Fox has made 4 changes to his Dundee United side this afternoon after their 2-1 defeat to St Mirren last time out, with Eriksson, Niskanen, Jim and Middleton all on the bench. So Mark Bidigiti is back between the posts. You've got an unchanged back 3 of Liam Smith, Ryan Edwards and Scott McMahon. In front of them, Kieran Freeman, Dylan Levitt, who's back from injury, Jamie McGrath, Craig Sibbald and Aziz Betch, and the strikers are Tony Watt and Stephen Fletcher is back too after coming on as a sub and scoring last time out. On the bench, Eriksson, Graham, Niskanen, Pollitt, June, Middleton, Meekson, Sadat and Harks. As for Motherwell, just the one change from their 2-1 defeat to Aberdeen. Ross Tierney drops out and is replaced by Connor Shields. So in goals, it's Liam Kelly, then a back 4 of Paul McGinn, Sondre Solholm, Ricky Lamy and Matt Penny. Then you've got Stuart McKinstry, Callum Slattery, Connor Shields, Sean Goss and Blair Spittle. And up front, it's Kevin Van Veen. The subs, Oxborough, O'Donnell, Mugabe, Maguire, Cornelius, Moult, Morris, Tierney and Miller. Your referee here at Tannadice today is John Beaton and your VAR is David Munro.
Right, text Fraser Wishart, whatever he is, tell him he's not getting back on. Selina's taking his gig and he's never getting it back. It was nice to know.
What Selina was really trying to tell you there is that Motherwell are rotten on the road. Motherwell are rotten at home. In terms of the DVLA, you're an old banger.
Well, it would take one to know one, wouldn't it? I think I think it's true though on the Super Scoreboard Derby, Wilson and producer Callum versus the 2 GDs in here, so we'll see how that one pans out. Looking forward to it. Let's stick with a Lanarkshire theme. Hamilton against Cove Rangers is our featured championship match. Gabriel has the teams there.
Yeah, battle at the bottom of the championship here at New Douglas Park between 2 teams in desperate need of a victory. The hosts Hamilton sit bottom of the table. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games, but they know a win today could push them up to 8th and above their opposition from the northeast. Aki's head coach John Rankin makes 4 changes to the side that lost to Arbroath last week. The team is as follows: Jamie Smith in goal, a back 4 of Michael Doyle, Nico Vertinen, Brian Easton and Matthew Shields. Midfield 4 is Lewis Smith, Johnny Ngandu, Stevie Lawson and Ellis Brown, with Andrew Winter just off Andy Ryan. Up top, subs are Scully, Owens, Newbury, McGinn, Latona, Minmore, Zanata, Tiehi and 1. Well, Cove boss Jim McIntyre hasn't had the easiest start to life safe in the northeast either. They're winless in 3. They know this match could prove to be a 6-pointer come the end of the season. They currently sit in 8th, just above the drop. He makes one change from the team that drew 2-2 with Ayr 7 days ago. Max Johnson comes in for Evan Towler. It's Kyle Gourlay in goal, Shea Logan, Mark Reynolds, Jack Sanders and Max Johnson in the back 4. Louis Longstaff will play off the right with Charlie Gilmore off the left, Blair Ewell and Connor Scully in the middle of the park. Jerry McDonough and Mitch Megginson are up top with Mackenzie, Towler, Neil, Masson, Vigers, Leach and Dunn on the bench. It is a Dreich day here in Lanarkshire, but the fans who have turned out will hope for an entertaining game. The previous meeting this season was 2-2, so hopefully there'll be some more goals again. And don't forget, this is the Championship. There's no VAR here, so hopefully we'll have plenty of controversy and questionable decisions. The referee in charge of all that is Chris Graham.
No, it just means that you'll be finished 20 minutes before your colleagues. That's what it means. But anyway, VAR, I'm sure, will have something to say about the afternoon. That's you up to date on all your team news, and that means it's time to look back on some of the week's biggest talking points. We'll do that next. The Super Scoreboard podcast is sponsored by Taggart's Motor Group. Taggart's have Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. And as Taggart's are part of the Lookers family, one of the largest franchise dealer groups in the UK, you can browse thousands of nearly new and used vehicles in stock nationwide to find your perfect vehicle. They've also launched Click and Sell. It makes selling your car simple by using their trusted dealer network of over 150 sites. Why not give it a go today? See how much you could make on your old car. Taggart's have Land Rover showrooms in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showrooms found in Hillington. Check out taggarts.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now let's get back to the podcast.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon DL are in the studio. The top team are all around the grounds. They've given you team news ahead of the 3 o'clock game. So let's pause for some reflection, as we often do on a Saturday afternoon. Look back on some of the week's biggest topics. And again, Roger Hannah, we're not knocking it. It's a nice busy schedule. It's been another midweek completely dominated by European football.
Yeah, it feels as if we've been here before as well, Gordon. Celtic starting, playing reasonably well in patches, but not getting the win that they craved and out of Europe. Rangers taking on a quality side again away from home, losing by a number of goals and all but out of Europe. And Hearts out of Europe before kick-off on Thursday night, but managed to salvage a bit of pride with a win. So it's been an autumn that has taught Scotland's best clubs exactly where they stand in the sort of pantheon of European greatness, if you like.
What it does though, Roger, is it clearly feeds into today, particularly for Rangers. We always hear it, don't we? We get pre-season predictions in, and we'll always hear comments along the lines of that Europe's just a bonus and it can be a free hit and the league is the priority and all this sort of stuff. But the Rangers fans who are heading along today acknowledge that Napoli was a tough test, but their mood today has still been made worse by what happened in Naples. That's just the way it works, isn't it? Yeah,
and if you take things in isolation, 3-0 away in Naples, it's not a great result, of course it isn't, but it's probably where Rangers are at the minute. You know, Liverpool went there and lost heavily to Naples as well. They're top of Serie A. They are a very good team. That's not what's irking the Rangers fans when they arrive at Ibrox today. What is irking them is the drop points against Livingston last Saturday, the ponderous performance against Dundee in the Cup a few days earlier. They weren't even great when they won games against Motherwell and Dundee United, so you can't pull the wool over the eyes of the Rangers fans. They know what they're seeing and they're not enjoying what they're seeing just now. And as the boys were saying at the top of the show, this is an enormous game for Rangers and for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, because if the result goes the wrong way, it really does intensify the pressure on the manager.
So what do you think then? The criticism that followed Wednesday, over the top, unfair or justified?
The criticism, I don't think it was over the top. Rangers set a standard in Europe last season by going all the way to the Europa League final, and I know this is a different competition and I know this is a level up, but the performances haven't been good. The results have been awful. They've lost 5 straight games in Europe. They've lost 6 out of 12 in all competitions, and for Rangers supporters that's difficult to stomach.
I did notice that Napoli had gone 2-0 up inside 19 minutes this afternoon with a Victor Osimhen double. He didn't even play against Rangers, so there is an obvious acknowledgement as to the level there, David Friel. But it's It's been bruising. I know arithmetically Rangers still can finish third. It would take an unbelievable evening against Ajax at Ibrox. So it's been a pretty rough ride, hasn't it, this Champions League?
Yeah, it has. I mean, you think back to the scenes in Eindhoven when Rangers celebrated getting there, Gordon, and to be perfectly honest with you, since their first game it's been a bit painful. You know, I think it's been a bit of a tortuous process for Rangers, a bit of a slog, and it's crazy to think that in this calendar year Rangers on the road to the Europa League final had such highs in Europe. You know, Red Star Belgrade, Dortmund, Braga, Leipzig. You know, daring to dream in European football was, I know Rangers didn't win the league, but it was leading to a feel good factor at the club. And then you go into the better competition, and to be honest with you, you know, the element of it to me is it's just knocked the players' confidence. And you can say all you want about expectations, etc., but if you are taking, you know, 5 beatings like Rangers have, it's going to affect you. And I think today's a huge game for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, but I would actually also say the Ajax game on Wednesday is just as big, because it's the most winnable game of the group, and if Rangers were to finish with 6 defeats, I think that piles pressure on them as well.
Well, if they lose, of course, David, you would know that would make Rangers the worst ever group stage competitors in the history of the Champions League. So you're right, that would be another black mark against the manager. Their Champions League group stage phase has been utterly dismal, dire. 7 goals lost to Liverpool at Ibrox, a record defeat at Ibrox for the club. How Giovanni Van Bronckhorst survived that, I do not know. At the same time, Celtic fans are bigging up, to use the young person's expression, their performance in the Champions League. They are kidding themselves on. Celtic bottom and out. They've scored 3 goals, they get 2 draws, and they await a torrid time in Madrid. And if Rangers were to beat Ajax by whatever margin, and Celtic lost to Madrid, which they will do, Rangers would have more points. And I'd love to hear Thursday night's Super Scoreboard if that happens.
Are the Celtic fans not just pointing out the odd sort of sign of progression here and there, or the odd performance that gave them belief? What constitutes bigging up? I can't believe I'm asking that question to Hugh Keevins.
Well,
the phrases you never thought you would hear.
Yeah, they're bigging up performances that were at least lively. Rangers have been flat, a soft touch, easily beaten since the group stages started. They have been an embarrassment to themselves and to the club. Celtic, you get the occasional flurry of excitement, but it still comes down to a draw, home and away, against the displaced persons of Shakhtar Donetsk. 3 goals, bottom of the table and out.
Listen, I think there is a stark difference. I know, Hugh, what you're saying. The points on the board tell the end story, but there is a certain way of playing, and I think that's, you know, that excites fans and gives them optimism going to the games, and Ange Postecoglou certainly has that in this Champions League campaign. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is as far away from that as you can get, and the decline in the performance levels for Rangers for that game against PSV Eindhoven have been alarming, because the PSV Eindhoven game was carrying on for what they did in the Europa League. They looked like a team who could handle going away from home against really anybody in Europe and putting up a good fight. Whatever's happened between the qualification for the Champions League and the actual Champions League taking place, who knows, because it looks like a totally different set of players that's representing the club.
It's a culmination, Gordon, isn't it? It feels like individually those Champions League results are not that surprising. You could, even although it was 7, as Hugh says, you can still see that happening. You come against one of Europe's elite, it can happen. We've seen it in recent seasons, but it's the fact that every game's been a bit like that, or every game's been particularly disappointing, not managed to land a punch. That's what the Rangers fans keep phoning in and saying is the real frustration.
Yeah, and I think that's where the difference is, and Hugh makes great points, because he's correct that Celtic are bottom of the table, they're out, but I think the difference is, if you look at the Celtic games compared to Rangers ones, there was times, and we kept talking about it, take your chances. If they take their chances, it's a different game. You look at the Rangers games and you never really believed that throughout the campaign for me, Gordon. But my biggest concern, and I'll harp back on about it the other night there, was the sort of a desire. I'm not going to say players cheat and don't try. Desire and effort to go and work as a team would be my big concern. The players on the pitch have got talent, there's no doubt. I'm not denying that. But you got to, somewhere along the line, if you're playing against a team that far better than you, and let's be honest, Napoli have got better players than Rangers, you're away from home, you've got to at least go and compete and try and work and close down and put the effort in, and to try and make it difficult for them. Napoli were in second gear for most of the game. Yes, Rangers had a wee opportunity with Morelos, and you're always going to get that, but I think, listen to the phone calls, the Rangers supporters dialed into that as well, because they were so disappointed in the performance.
How does it happen that, Roger Hannah, you and Hugh Keevins and David Friel have sat in many player and manager interviews over the years? They've all told you the same thing, that players don't down tools and they don't not try. Of course they do. How does it happen then that after a result like the other night, we get inundated with Rangers fans saying it doesn't look like they're trying, it doesn't look like they're putting in the appropriate effort?
Well, some of the statistics would actually back that up, because was there not a stat the other night that each of the outfield Napoli players had run half a kilometre more than each of the Rangers outfield players? So they're covering more ground, they are looking more energetic, and that's where the Rangers supporters get this downing tools thing. I don't think they're downing tools, but I do think they could up their energy levels, their effort levels, and that starts at 3 o'clock this afternoon, because Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, he blamed the slow start against Livingston last week, not just Joel Newley's goal, the slow start from Rangers. If there is another slow start today, Aberdeen, who I saw at Fir Park last Saturday, Gordon, might just be the boys to pounce on that.
Well, Aberdeen have to prove something to themselves, Roger, I would suggest. It's all very well saying Jim Goodwin's won 4 of his last 5. This is the proper test of Aberdeen and their capabilities. I'd be very interested to see how Majowski and Luis Lopez get on in that Ibrox environment, as I would be interested to see how they survived at Celtic Park as well. We have got to had a go at Rangers and Celtic and their European performances, and everyone else who competed in Europe this season, Motherwell, Dundee United, Hearts, they were dismal as well. But we've got to find out if there's a team out with Rangers and Celtic in this country who are worth a damn when it comes to competitive football. I'm not suggesting that Aberdeen should be in the running for the title, because they never will. But you have to expect Aberdeen, a club of their size within our small country, to come to a place like Ibrox today when Rangers are playing in a fashion that's alarming for the supporters. They have to come and show that they can do something, that there's a semblance of competitiveness about our league.
When you look at Hearts, Roger Hannah, the margins are different, I suppose, because they're finished bottom of the group and can't progress, finish third in the group. But ultimately those 2 wins against Riga are probably worth a few players' salary for a year for Hearts. So that in itself is like, it's a level of success. Does that sound a bit defeatist? Of course you want to aim for more, but that's still something tangible to take away from a European group stage. Yeah,
very worthwhile for Hearts. Very valuable, about £500,000 secured the other night with that win against RFS. Hearts have probably punched their weight in the group. If you look at budget, Fiorentina and Besiktas here should finish first and second in the group, Gordon. Hearts should finish third. They've done well to beat RFS home and away, and if they can now focus on another third place finish in the Premiership, they will look at European football next season and probably benefit from the experiences they've had this year.
Let's leave it there then, because we've got domestic football on our minds this afternoon. Some fantastic games, of course, at Ibrox and beyond, and we'll go back around the grounds next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Just over 15 minutes until the 3 o'clock games get underway. Of course, 2 big matches tomorrow in the Premiership as well. But this afternoon we are looking forward to Rangers against Aberdeen, Hibs St Mirren, St Johnstone Killie and Dundee United Motherwell. We've got Hamilton Cove as our featured championship match. Let's hear from the managers then ahead of the big one at Ibrox.
It's something I always felt throughout my career, the pressure to perform. the pressure to every game reach your standard. I had it as a player. I have the same as a coach. And of course you feel the pressure, but the most pressure I feel is the pressure I put myself on, and that's something I'm used to, and gives me strength and energy to keep going forward, and that's the only thing I can do.
He can handle the pressure, says Giovanni van Bronckhorst. The man who's hoping to pile it on him is Jim Goodwin.
Mindset is a big thing when you're going into these types of fixtures, especially away from home against Celtic and Rangers. I think, a lot of teams can be very defeatist and very negative before a ball is kicked. But, I don't see that within our group. There's a lot of new faces in Scotland who haven't been involved in this type of fixture before. This is one of the reasons why a number of the players we signed came to the Scottish Premier League in the first place, because they want to test themselves against the likes of Rangers, who have got, good international players throughout their squad. So, yeah, we want to go and see how far away we are as a group as well. We're sitting third in the table at the moment. There's an incentive there to close the gap on Rangers in second, but we want to see what exactly is required to get to that next level.
So looking forward to that one. We will go back to Ibrox just before kick-off. We'll get a build-up and flavour of the atmosphere there with Andrew McLean, who will recap the teams. For now, let's go back around the rest of the grounds. I like the look of Hibs St Mirren, Roger Hannah, because when you look at that league table, they're only separated by a couple of points. You might, if you're Stephen Robinson, fall into that old trap of thinking, yeah, okay, Rangers are not in a good place, but if Aberdeen lose at Ibrox, if we can come away with a win at Easter Road, St Mirren will be sitting pretty come the end of the afternoon.
Yeah, I think they already are sitting pretty. Fourth place in the Premiership is pretty good for St Mirren. Tony Fitzpatrick, when he was at the club, used to harp on every year about what it would mean to get into the top six, and they were very unfortunate under Jim Goodwin not to make that top six. And I think that has to be the goal for Stephen Robinson, to get St Mirren into that top six. He's got a nice bit of continuity in selection. It's the same side that beat Dundee United last week. He's got a strong bench, if they're looking for goals. Eamon Brophy, Alec Grieve, Greg Kiltie, all on that bench. So it's, as a club, St Mirren are in a good place right now.
Where are Hibs? Because, and I don't mean literally, you look at the start to life under Lee Johnson, maybe wasn't particularly convincing. They dug out late draws against Hearts and Rangers and benefited from some red cards. Then they go and win those 4 games in a row, keep a 3 clean sheets in fact in that time as well. You think they're onto something, and now it's 3 defeats in a row, albeit one of them against Celtic.
Yeah, I saw them at Dingwall for SuperScoreBoard the other week during that winning run. They won 2-0 and they looked good, but I think they sort of turned into a team, Hibs, who have got some good players but have yet to convince me they're a good team, if you know what I mean. If you look at the likes of David Marshall, Ryan Portes, Chris Cadden, Martin Boyle, they're all good players, but I still think, if you look at the Hibs squad, I wouldn't know what Lee Johnson's first choice 11 is, if that makes sense, Gordon. I'm not convinced Lee Johnson knows what his first choice 11 is either. A couple of changes again today, Noah Kenna and Ewan Henderson coming into that midfield, and I think Lee Johnson is still trying to find his feet with this squad of players. Maybe this World Cup break will come at a good time for him. He can get a couple of the injured lads back, and then they can make a push. We're talking about St Mirren trying to get into the top 6. Success for Hibs has to be European qualification.
Has he got that nice coat on again that he wore at Celtic Park the other week?
Something I actually haven't seen him. It's Jamie McAllister and David Gray who are out on the pitch warming up the players. I haven't seen him so far today.
Make sure you keep us up to speed. We'll be desperate to know. Let's hear from him.
We are on this journey. We're not the finished article yet, and we've shown some really good signs at times, and at times we fall a little bit short. So we need to keep honing the performance. When we have spells, we need to capitalise and we need to score goals. We need to kill teams off a little bit better than we are. And if there are plot twists in the game, which often there are, particularly in Scotland, then we have to respond better and the best we possibly can. So again, there's not been a negative environment here. We're full of positivity going into the game. I think in one sense the boys should be really looking forward to getting back in front of our fans and showing them what we can do, with them obviously fully behind us, which they are.
And here's Stephen Robinson.
I've watched a lot of Hibs. I think Lee signed a lot of good players, a lot of pace in the team. I think I spoke highly about Martin Boyle before. He's He's a player I've rated very, very highly for a long time, and he's a big threat. They've got a lot of strengths. They're a team that's open and play expansive football as well, but they also have got that threat on the break with the pace that they have. Our away form can be better. Our home form's excellent. I think we've made it a real fortress at home. We've picked up a lot of good results. Away from home, our performances, surprisingly maybe to hear me say that, I think have been very good. Against St Johnstone, against Rangers, Aberdeen was a bit of an anomaly with 10 men. But we've played well without getting results. We have to try and turn those into 90 minutes of good decisions.
St Johnstone against Kilmarnock. David Friel is at McDermott Park. David, is this the kind of fixture at this stage in the season where it's early, but it's not that early, so perhaps the type of fixture that determines whether you're able to look upwards or whether you're getting set for a bit of a relegation battle?
Yeah, 100%, Gordon. As I said earlier, there's only a point, a position between them and a point between them. Two probably pretty evenly matched sides. Probably ones during the summer going for similar players and maybe similar budgets as well. I know Kilmarnock, are backing Derek McInnes, but he had a big rebuild on his hands. And yeah, I think so. And I think for both, I think St Johnstone have been really inconsistent. Kelly have been a lot more consistent, but they aren't scoring a lot of goals. 9 goals in 12 league games isn't a lot. And they've lost Kyle Lafferty to mid-January. Derek McInnes then got some bad luck with losing Christian Doidge to injury as well, so he's going to have to rely on Innes Cameron for the moment. Young striker, 22, a bit raw, but he'll be leading the line today, but he's up against a really experienced rearguard at St Johnstone as well. So yeah, 100%, these are the games that both managers will target, and I think especially St Johnstone at home, I think that's something Callum Davidson's really keen to get back to, a really strong home record.
Let's hear from both managers then, Callum Davidson and Derek McInnes.
I will say all games are really important, all for different types of things, but it's really important we go out, we put a performance in, we test Kilmarnock, we ask questions. I think I said all along it's going to be a tight league, and I think wins are crucial. I think you're right. I think 1 minute you can be fighting relegation, 1 minute you can be trying to get top 6, putting pressure on teams up there. I'd just like to start getting a few more victories, start having back-to-back wins, and start trying to do create that little bit of momentum, which I feel at the moment. I know we lost a few games beforehand at Celtic and stuff, but I think there were some good performances in there, so there's definitely momentum going forward.
The type of form that we're showing at the minute, the level of performance is exactly what I was hoping for from the outset, but for one reason or another, finding out about the players finding out about the league, but I think we're settled into the Premier League now, and I think that certainly the cup run's no done us any harm either in terms of building confidence. So, but players are players, they go in, they play good, get some good performances, get some good results, it breeds confidence. We've had 2 clean sheets in a row now in the Premier League, which helps us, particularly when we may be a wee bit short of some of our attacking options, so that keeping clean sheets is vitally important, and it was great that we managed to do that.
Tannadice for Dundee United, Motherwell. What were those worrying Motherwell statistics again, Selena? Run them past me again.
It was 4 points from their last 7. I think it may have been 8 league appearances, Gordon. I'm very sorry to tell you that.
Yeah, going to be, that's an interesting one, Mark. I'll be keeping an eye on you too. Make sure you're not fighting over it. Gordon DL being a big Motherwell fan, you being a Dundee United legend, obviously.
Of course. Yeah.
What do you mean, of course? You weren't a legend.
Yeah. Selena will tell you that. There'll be pictures of me all over the walls at Tannadice. I'm sure
4 points. The Steelmen 4 points ahead of Dundee United, so the incentive is there to close that gap. Motherwell not on a great run. How do you see this one panning out?
With Dundee United, they're so unpredictable this season. Motherwell, having saw them last week against Celtic, watched them against Rangers, they look like they're struggling at the minute. I fancy Dundee United to snatch that one this afternoon.
It's a hard one to call. I think that Motherwell need a result. Dundee United are scrapping for their lives down there, Gordon. They've got the incentive of closing that gap, as you say, to 1 point, putting a bit of pressure on. I think Selena's in for an exciting game. I've got to say, I think it will be a good game, but it's a very hard one to call.
Don't forget, we do have that featured championship game as well between Hamilton and Cove, so Gabriel will keep us up to speed all afternoon on that, but the kickoffs are fast approaching. We'll go back to Ibrox next.
The fastest goals, the experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Fast approaching kick-off in the 3 o'clock games. Let's go back to Ibrox and build up. Just waiting on the teams coming out, I think, Andrew McLean.
Yeah, just waiting on them coming out. I was listening in actually as the team lineups have been read out over the Tannoy system. not too long ago. It started with Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, his name read out, but we're not at the point where he was getting any boos. There was a smattering of applause for him and for the players' names that followed afterwards. But there's just a feeling that the Rangers support here, they don't have a lot of confidence in their side at the moment. It seems like that comes from quite a few different things as well. Not being able to create chances against teams they should. They've been losing cheap goals as well. And on top of that, lots of goals in Europe too, and team selections as well. You never really know what you're going to get from Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's starting lineup. Today it's Alan McGregor in goal, the back four James Tavernier, Leon King, Ben Davies and Ridvan Yilmaz. The midfield three, James Sands, John Lundstrom and Malik Tillman, with Fashion Sakala and Ryan Kent either side of Antonio Cholak. But you look at some of the players in there. Ridvan Yilmaz, he's played his way into the starting lineup after being quite far off it since his arrival. James Sands started as a centre-back at the start of the season. He was out the team for a while, then he's back in the team as a midfielder. The right wing spot has been a bit of a lottery in recent times as well. It looks as if Van Bronckhorst has settled on pace, but sometimes it's right, sometimes it's Matondo. Today it's Sakala that gets the nod, but it doesn't really seem like rotation in these Rangers teams. It seems like he's still trying to work out what his best starting 11 is out of the players he's got available to him at the moment. But the one thing Rangers cannot afford today is a slow start. I can already imagine what the atmosphere would be like in here if Aberdeen get an early goal or even put early pressure on Rangers, because we saw what happened against Livingston last weekend, and there was the early goal from Joel Nubley, and straight away the fans were on the backs of the team and on the player. When there already is that feeling of disconnect with the team, that would just create a tension that really wouldn't help these players at all. Van Bronckhorst said yesterday that it's best when everyone is working together, but you feel that will only be the case if the players put in a performance to lift the crowd as well. The players are out at the moment. They've got their show the racism, the red card placards that they are just about to hold up as well. There's an applause around the stadium as they hold those cards up. I'll read that Aberdeen team to you as well. Kilarus in goal for them today. Ross McCrory, Anthony Stewart and Liam Scales are the back three. Jayden Richardson and Jack McKenzie the wing backs. Connor Barron, Elber Ramadani and Leighton Clarkson are the three central midfielders. Duke and Bojan Miovski are the two strikers. And Aberdeen, they don't tend to travel well here. They did draw 2-2 almost a year ago to the day it was at Ibrox, but in recent seasons they've lost 4-0 twice, they've lost 5-0 once as well. So Jim Goodwin, he will be keen to make sure that those types of scorelines aren't a regular thing for his Aberdeen side when they come here. He'll be hoping as well that they can take advantage of any nerves. At the moment the Rangers crowd are singing, they're getting behind their team. That's what Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was wanting from them earlier, and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst saying that he understands there is pressure at the moment, but he wants his players to be able to handle that pressure. He says he's played at massive clubs throughout his career, he's been a manager elsewhere beforehand. He said he's had to deal with that pressure, and he said that the biggest pressure that he's under is the pressure he puts on himself as manager. So he'll be hoping that these players can go out and have a much quicker start than they did at Ibrox last weekend. But it is a huge game here for Rangers, and we are not far away from kick-off.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements. Trade accounts available now. Call them today.
The scene is set at Ibrox. It's always one of the fixtures you look out for in the Scottish Premiership, as Rangers against Aberdeen. But with everything that's at stake this afternoon, it should be an absolute cracker. And how is it going to finish, or not going to finish, as the case may be, Hugh Keevins?
Rangers 3, Aberdeen 1, 2 for Cholak, 1 for Sakala.
Wow.
Miovski scores for Aberdeen. Hibs and St Mirren paying tribute to Stephen Robinson. I think they'll get a draw at Easter Road, the Saints. The other Saints, St Johnstone will beat Kilmarnock, Dundee United will beat Motherwell, and Mr Antionazzi will see Hamilton beat Cove Rangers.
I think Rangers will have enough to beat Aberdeen today. I'll go for a Hibs home win, a draw St Johnstone Killie, United to beat Motherwell, and Cove will beat Hamilton.
I'm going to be a little bit different today, boys. I'm going Rangers Aberdeen draw. I fancy Hibs to beat St Mirren. I fancy St Johnstone to beat Kilmarnock. I'll take a draw at Tannadice in the derby, and Cove Rangers to beat Hamilton.
Well, let's find out. Sit back and enjoy. I've looked out the window. It's absolutely miserable. If you're not out and about at a game, you might as well just sit back and listen to the nonsense that these three will serve up between now and 6 o'clock. You can tweet the show all afternoon at Clyde SSB. We'll keep you up to speed on everything that's happening throughout the games. We'll have teasers, we'll have the usual distractions, no doubt, and then at 5 o'clock the open line will be here, the most important part of the day, where you get to react to whatever your team has served up this afternoon. So we're looking forward to that already, and I'll give you the nod when it's time to pick up that phone. We've pretty much made it to 3:05 without even mentioning that it's only day 2 or week 2 of VAR in the Scottish Premiership, Hugh Keevins. Let's see if we're giving it as few mentions come full time.
Well, last week we had Nick Walsh up to his neck in controversy at the Hearts Celtic game. Now he's the referee here at Ibrox today, and last week helping, and I use the word advisedly, helping Nick Walsh was Stephen McLean in the VAR office, and he's back in it today covering Rangers Aberdeen. So lightning to strike twice.
Willie Collum's the VAR.
Oh, is he?
According to Andrew McLean. I thought, I'm glad he's corrected us, because I thought you were right as well, but there we go. Andrew McLean says Willie Collum is the
what
VAR.
could possibly go wrong?
Apparently. So there we go. We'll keep you up to speed on any. Don't think, producer Callum, have we got our VAR flash button yet? No, still just goal flashes.
Yeah, we need one, don't we?
We need to get one.
Yeah,
we need to get one, surely.
Come up with,
because last week it was chaos.
Need to be the sound of a siren, would it not?
We'll wait and see. Game's all underway then. We'll see if we get any early drama. Always good to get things up and running. There is a full-time result from down the road, as they say, where Leicester lost 1-0 to Man City. A Kevin De Bruyne special, wrapping up all 3 points for Pep Guardiola's side.
Sensational free kick that was. Yeah, look forward to watching that match of the day.
Yeah, I was just thinking more about Pep with the sort of stained jeans and the hoodie
I
on.
love it.
Not Maddie.
Imagine that, you at Somerset with a hoodie.
Ridiculous.
The two either side of me, Gordon, were not having Pep's attire.
No.
Hugh's more a suited and Trilby kind of
Levi jeans
on the touchline.
Doesn't even fit him. Baggy at the back.
I know.
You've got to tidy yourself up when you're a manager of City.
Funnily enough, it's been quite the week for you, because there was a lot of attention paid to your dress sense the other night in the show. You came dressed like a very young man. You and Mark,
I think you're missing the word sharp.
You and Mark went off to Robbie Williams together.
Yeah, and didn't see him the full night.
In a taxi that was arranged on these very phone lines, because someone phoned and offered to give you a lift.
Yeah.
Did it all work out okay? Did it all go to plan?
Oh, it was brilliant. I mean, the taxi journey in was
Can
great.
we not thank John? John was.
Oh, John, yeah.
I
John the
sent
taxi
John a
man.
text just to thank him. That's the kind of guy I am. And he
Did you
went
tip him though?
No, we did. We went a fiver each.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
We'll get back to that. It's St Johnstone have taken the lead. St Johnstone 1, Kilmarnock 0. And speaking of doing things that the youngsters do, it's Stevie May that scored, right? Now, what's the celebration he's been doing?
Yeah,
the griddy.
Yeah.
And Gordon Dalziel. There's a whole generation. By the way, even my generation, Hugh, isn't quite sure about that. So
I'm not sure about Stevie May doing it. I mean, he looks like a bag of washing at the best of times. So
Gordon Dalziel,
what he's doing dancing about, I don't know.
Gordon Dalziel has been practicing.
I'm not very good on it. I was getting up and down the hall.
You got the griddy in your locker, do you?
Not yet, no, but I will get it. Don't you worry about that.
Jean Loubley did it, did he not, at Ibrox last week?
Don't think Daz is quite perfected it yet. Looks.
Do you think it's the hip?
Like you're getting an electric shock.
I think it's the treatment injury that stops
yeah,
you.
it's a bit stiff in the right hand side there, so might have a problem.
leave
But
the
I'll give
griddy
it.
to the
Listen,
experts.
you can only give it a go.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's whipped out the griddy for this, because it was a shot all across. It was deflected in and not entirely convincing, but they all count, as the saying goes. So St Johnstone 1-up. Rangers have started well. Yilmaz and Tillman both looking quite lively, forcing some early corner kicks and trying obviously to get the crowd on board. Certainly wouldn't want it to go the other way like it did last week. Were Livy 1-up by now?
They were, yeah,
far off it, yeah. Kent gone to the byline, he's crossed it from the left. It was a bit of an awkward height though for Sakala, and he tried to almost get his knee on the ball, and it ended up over the bar. So bright start from Rangers. So everything went okay. Sorry, just quickly, the Robbie Williams, because I've been inundated with people asking me how you two got on.
There was a lot to it. We went in the taxi, and to be fair to John, I did ask for nuts. He did bring. He dry roasted. I was a bit disappointed. I actually pointed out it was salted. I was looking for John, but we got there, and then what happened was I never seen Wilson again until
that sounds great.
Yesterday. And I've got to say, the many people that stopped me on the way in and said, look, sharp is not even the word, Dazzler. Not even a
It
word.
was a different word. Anyway, we had to get the
And I
origin.
couldn't understand the hand signs.
I wanted to stand like thousands do at a guy. He says he wasn't standing, so we got him a seated ticket and he sat the full concert. But you enjoyed yourself.
It was brilliant.
You loved it.
But the problem was, right, I should have went to the standing area because I was up in the gods, and Robbie Williams was 3'2", right? I think it was him that was down there. I don't know. They could have
been anybody.
Yeah. But then what happened, Gordon? Somebody tested me right away. Girl and guy in front. Once the rock DJ come on, they get up. They got a tap on the shoulder.
No,
excuse me.
You didn't.
You didn't ask
You asked him to sit down. You're joking.
That is
Not at all. They're not ruining my enjoyment.
That is socially unacceptable.
No, it's not.
That's,
no, it's
that's
not.
terrible. I feel embarrassed for
They've
you.
done the right thing standing up.
If that's the case, take all the seats out. Right, the seats are there for a reason.
Hugh, you'll be pleased to know Brighton have gone 1-up against Chelsea. Leandro Trossard. The grandkids at that one, I take it.
I texted Archie this morning and I said good luck, and he said we'll need it.
Tell you who needs some good luck. St Mirren, because Hibs have taken the lead.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Yes, Hibs 1, St Mirren 0. Kuharevich with the goal. It was a great move, actually. It was Newell to Chabraha and a tap in to finish it all off. So good start for the Hibees.
Well, early days yet. St Mirren have done too much of late to write them off at this early stage.
Okay, let's do your teaser, Hugh, if you're ready. Give some audience participation.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Listen carefully. Not including Old Firm games. Not including Old Firm games. Name the last 7 players to score a hat-trick against Celtic or Rangers in Scottish domestic football or the Champions League. Now, I'm not talking
Can I do the unthinkable here, and we'll just revisit that because we've got a bit of drama here. Hibs have not taken the lead. VAR has ruled it out for offside. There was a big delay whilst they checked if it's the right call. Good, got there in the end. A couple of weeks ago that would have stood erroneously, but the celebrations are over and ready to kick off. So it is level between Hibs and St Mirren. That goal has been ruled out due to VAR. And Rangers fans, just when you think it can't get any worse, don't worry, you're not trailing, but Yilmaz has already gone off injured and been replaced by Barisic. He's the one you all wanted to see back in the team. I'm very sorry, Hugh, but I know you like the drama. Anyway,
of course,
let's go again with the question.
Edinburgh is the capital of VAR at this rate. Not including Old Firm games. Name the last 7 players to score a hat-trick against Celtic or Rangers in Scottish domestic football or the Champions League. I'm not talking about Champions League qualifiers. Anybody can get a hat-trick there. I'm talking about proper stuff. So who are the last 7 players to score a hat-trick against Celtic or Rangers in domestic football here or the Champions League?
I like that. So it doesn't include each other, as Hugh quite rightly says. Name the last 7 players to score a hat-trick against Celtic or against Rangers, either domestically or in the Champions League. Not the Europa League and not the qualifiers, the Champions League only. Okay, we've got one of these in our featured championship game.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Hamilton 0, Cove Rangers 1. It's a former Motherwell player, that's why he's obviously wanting to score against the Ackies. It's Mark Reynolds. It was a header that looked over the goalkeeper, and the visitors go in front down there in Hamilton.
Yeah, John Rankin having a tough time here just now. They are rooted to the bottom of the table and behind this afternoon.
Alloa 1, Clyde 0. Luke Donnelly on 10 minutes. Clyde also having a tough time. Danny Lennon has been placed somewhere that I'd never heard before.
Yes.
Is that what they call gardening leave these days? I don't know. Is it? What's the difference? We're missing Fraser Wishart to tell us.
I don't know why they
he's not in charge of Clyde at the moment.
I don't know why they couldn't just say sacked. But
there'll be some contractual reason, I'm sure.
I think a lot of Danny Lennon. He's a great guy. I'll never forget going last season to the Clyde Scottish Cup tie, and the first thing he said was, "Are you still going about?" And I thought, there's a vote of confidence for you. But they've had a torrid time of it, Clyde. They're just being battered from pillar to post at the moment. Continuing today.
So high drama all around then. Hibs thought they had taken the lead, but they haven't. They've not corrected that on the television yet, so I hope Roger Hannah, what I meant to say is I'm sure Roger Hannah has given us the right version of events, and we're still goalless in that one. No goals yet. Dundee United, Motherwell United coming closest. Stephen Fletcher with a bicycle kick that went wide. St Johnstone's goal does stand against Kilmarnock, Stevie May. And Rangers Aberdeen goalless, but Yilmaz forced off already, injured. That's a blow, isn't it, Gordon?
Well, it's a blow for the player, obviously, because he's waited and bided his time, and there were question marks. Why did they sign this lad? Because a lot of Rangers fans were not having Barisic in the form he was in. I like Barisic. I'm probably one of the few. I still think he's got a lot to offer down that left-hand side. But it was a great opportunity. The other night I thought Yilmaz settled into that role well in a difficult game. And he was a stick on to start today, there was no doubt. I think everybody agreed with that, and it's a shame for a lad that's come in, waited so long, probably just been sitting there biding his time, and unfortunately he's had to go off with injury.
Yeah, it looks fairly obvious, Mark. Looks like a hamstring injury, blocked across, clutched the hamstring area. We don't know what grade that will be. Best case scenario, you're probably looking at after the World Cup.
Probably, yeah.
We're not too far away from that now, are we? A few weeks, maybe makes it back before.
Do you ever have a grade hamstring?
A grade hamstring?
Yeah.
A grade
Didn't
one?
have it in my
grade,
time.
Grade
it was
1,
called
2 or 3.
Pulley hamstring. That was it.
Pulley hamstring.
Pulley hamstring.
Things have moved on.
They didn't classify them.
Did not classify them.
No, I've had a few of them, but it's a blow for him because I think he's been one of the better performers for Rangers. I think he was now beginning to be number one pick. I think Barisic defensively has been so poor this season, and they needed somebody else in there. So it's a blow for the player himself, but I mean, Barisic going forward probably offers you more, but defensively,
do you think so?
But Yilmaz,
I thought the whole point of what excited the Rangers fans the other night was that that Barisic is good at crossing the ball, so if that's what you mean. But this is the week that everyone's whinging about crossing the ball.
Yeah.
They seem to do it too often. They're looking for their fullbacks to actually do more and get the ball and pass it forward and drive forward.
I'm just taking the volume of assists over his time at the club now. It may prove Yilmaz may go on and surpass that with years, but Barisic has proved he can do it. So
in terms of the game against Ajax, now I know there's no chance of Rangers scoring 5 goals against Ajax and thereby finishing in third place in the group, but they do want to avoid being the worst ever Champions League group competitors in the history of the competition. So already Yilmaz will not take any part in it, and John Lundstrom can't take any part in it because he was foolish enough to get booked in Naples. So for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, it's setbacks he doesn't need.
Yeah, another Gordon DL derby this afternoon. Raith Rovers against Partick Thistle. Yeah, Aidan Connolly has put Raith in front. How good's the Championship? You have to say, consistently every season it always has a brilliantly tight look to the league table. No different now. What a result that was for Morton last night, 4-0 against Inverness.
Second top Morton.
But everybody's second top it seems, you know what I mean, based on the points, because it's so tight.
The top 6 are separated by 2 points.
Brilliant.
The top 6.
I was delighted for Morton last night. They were kind enough with the charity R26 to take in one of your young participants who's going through a hard time, and Doug Emery and his team were brilliant on Thursday. Took him in, penalty shootouts, got photos, gave him a signed strip, and then gave him tickets for the game. And what a way to sign off the week with a 4-0 win. Brilliant.
Sensational. Brighton 2 up, Hugh.
Oh,
who's
Chelsea.
Chelsea. This is the grudge match. This is Harry Potter going back to
He's looking well now, Harry Potter, isn't he?
Oh, it's amazing what a move to a London club will do for you, isn't it?
He's turned into a 1960s Southwest London trendy.
Yeah, very smart.
Beard all sculpted. He's brushed his hair, which was a nice start.
I told 150 grand couldn't do for you a week.
I told Archie to boo Harry Potter, but not Billy Reid, because he's always very nice to us.
Did Billy Reid go with him? Yeah. And how's Billy looking to see?
He's actually looking quite sharp as well at the moment. Yeah.
I mean, he used to be neighbours with me. Billy used to stay across the road. Well, not anymore. Obviously, I think he's got
Needs to
Slightly
lose a
nicer
few
abode.
pounds. I spoke to him the last time when he came to Ayr. He came to visit us at Ayr when I was there.
What do you say? He needs to lose a few pounds?
Yeah, he's pulling a little bit.
Stirling Albion 1, Bonnyrigg Rose 0. Dale Carrick with the goal in 16 minutes there. He's in a great season, Dale Carrick, for Stirling Albion, flying high near the top of League 2. Get your answers into that that first half teaser, I should say. Hugh, remind us of it.
Not including Old Firm games. Name the last 7 players to score a hat-trick against Celtic or Rangers in Scottish domestic football or the Champions League. Not the qualifiers. Anybody can get into that. In the Champions League.
Lots of wrong answers coming in, so let me help you. Let me point you in the right direction if I can. It is a good question, and lots of you are getting it right or getting it close. Let me see what wrong ones we can eliminate that might help you along. KP Jer has thrown in Karim Benzema.
He's not
Is
there.
he on your list?
No. He might have the Ballon d'Or, but he's not on this list.
Sean Ross, Miko, various others, Kay, Andy D, all going for Alan Johnson.
Oh, I remember that goal. Those 3 goals.
Too far back.
Hearts.
Too far back. That was
You got
96. So the rest are all since then.
I can still
Good guesses coming.
I can still remember my classic prediction that day. I said Hearts will be lucky to get across the halfway line. Never mind score a goal.
So you were even doing this stuff back then?
Oh yeah,
All
yeah.
right, okay.
I was useless back then.
I thought it was a recent thing. Right,
He
keep
married 3 daughters out of this.
keep your guesses coming
I hope
at
you've got 3, have you?
at Clyde.
No, 1 daughter. 2 daughters rather. 2 daughters.
Oof, just forgotten about one. Let's move on. That was awkward. At Clyde SSB, keep your guesses coming in, please. And it is a race, so let's see who can get it in the fastest time. How are you two?
Well, we're doing okay.
Ticking along okay, I think.
We've got 5,
Yeah.
possibly 6.
No, you're pretty sure that's not one?
No.
No?
Can I be honest? Because I was actually quite worried about this afternoon's show, the 3 of you, because there was a Clyde one night out last night after the show, and first of all I was worried that one of you would perhaps fail to show up, but you're all here, certainly in body. You fit? Are you match fit? You got that sharpness?
The Dazzler was the only sensible one. He kept off the hooch. And Mark Wilson,
I drunk his hooch.
Was a
No. You drank responsibly. Remember, that's the message.
He was a
at
little
all
pale,
times.
I have to say, when he came in. A little pale.
He's the same colour as that white T-shirt he's wearing.
But there was a creamy buns put out in front of him.
I didn't realise the nonsense this guy, and I'll use the word nonsense, he speaks after a shandy, right? Because I'm usually in the same sort of a wavelength.
Yeah, you're worse, usually.
Can I just ask something that's been bothering me since last night? Why did you bring Joe Ledley to our works night out?
He was just hanging about.
No, but genuinely, I turned up after the show. I came up the stairs and I thought, I looked at all the colleagues. I see the news team, and I can see the sales staff, and I can see the engineers and production staff, and Ewan and Kat from Clyde 2, and Stephen Mill and Andrew McLean, and they're all there. That guy looks. Which one of our colleagues looks like Joe Ledley? Until it actually turned out to be Joe Ledley.
Yeah.
So you're that one weirdo that brings a +1 to a works night out, and it wasn't even like your other half. It was Joe.
Why? Joe was in town, and he's a nice fella. And he was at loose end. I said, well,
he's a loose cannon, you mean?
Anyway, we'll move on. That was further in the evening.
Can we say Joe had a good night?
Well, I don't think he remembers it, but
Producer Callum, how shameless is this? Producer Callum's just told me that Mark asked earlier in the day if he could bring Joe Ledley, and the answer was no, and he did it anyway.
No, I'd be fair to Mark, right? And don't listen to Mr. Bean in there. I watched him try to talk with the facial expressions last night, right?
I don't know what that means, but
no,
anyway,
you need to
carry
go
on.
and watch Mr. Bean, right? But Mark, I phoned him. He says, look, I've texted Callum. Callum's knocked me back with my +1, so I'm just going to stay down here. I says it'll be in about half an hour. The minute Callum walked in, starstruck, oh, it's Joe Ledley.
Oh, he's shameless.
Oh, terrible.
Shameless.
Anybody else wasn't
like
getting in.
Well, anyway, it was a good evening. Good fun had.
And you're all going to be fine from now until 6 o'clock.
Fine.
You'll make it through. Yes,
I'm
good.
perfectly great.
I'm happy with that. It's still goalless at Ibrox. Rangers 0, Aberdeen 0. We're about to reach the midway point of the first half. The biggest talking point actually so far is Ridvan Yilmaz has gone off injured. Rangers had a couple of sniffs there in the last few moments. Ryan Kent left-footed shot from the angle hit the side netting, and Lundstrom's low shot was easily held by Keller Roos as well.
Well, I think 20 minutes in, still goalless. There'll be a bit of fidgeting going on in the stands, but it doesn't sound as if Aberdeen are doing very much other than defending their goal.
We've got a goal at Ibrox.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
We said it'd been a bright enough start by Rangers, and Aberdeen have taken the lead. It's Rangers 0, Aberdeen 1, and the mood at Ibrox has just soured significantly. It was Connor Barron. Good work from Duke in the build-up, and it was Connor Barron, young Scottish midfielder, very impressive academy graduate at Pittodrie, and he's put Aberdeen 1 up at Ibrox.
Well,
is that your boy?
It's now no laughing matter for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. The crowd will be on Rangers' back, which was what Jim Goodwin had hoped for. And clearly in the first 20 minutes, Rangers may have been on the front foot, but not doing anything with their possession. So this is serious time now. This is very, very serious time for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst.
Gordon, that's the performance was alright. The Rangers have been the better team, there's no doubt. They were looking a bit livelier, maybe rocked a bit by the departure of Yilmaz to injury. That is absolutely miles away from what Giovanni Van Bronckhorst needed right now.
Yeah, I think obviously listening to you talk about what's the reports coming in from Ibrox, Gordon, when you went to press that, we all looked at each other thinking, well, that's Rangers off and running.
But I hooked you in. I
Yeah,
put
you
a certain
certainly did.
emphasis on my voice there
it
just
was
to make
absolutely
you.
brilliant.
Thank
Hugh's
you.
glasses fell off and everything. But I said earlier that I thought this was an opportunity for Aberdeen today. I know Rangers have started well, but it's all about putting the ball in the back of the net. There's still a long way to go, but I said at 2 o'clock, Rangers have got to show character. The players, they'll certainly need to show it now.
This is the point where you find out who you can rely on, because you find out things about people in adversity, not during times of success. This is adversity with a capital A. Now we'll see who's inspired and who chokes.
And that's the thing, when you look around that Rangers starting 11, you go, who are the leaders? I know the captain's there and Alan McGregor, but the rest of the side, Barisic has come on. Is he a leader? Very much doubt it. Sands seems a quiet one. Lundstrom, you would maybe sort of say that, but he's been so off colour recently. And then you look across the front line and you think, is any of them going to dig us out a hole? It's a big test. 20 odd minutes to go to half time. Big test.
Now, there is a long way to go, but if that goal proves to be decisive in any way, Andrew McLean owes it to the footballing public to interview Connor Barron after this game and ask him how much of this he owes to that loan spell at Brecon under Mark Wilson that he had a couple of seasons ago.
How much does he owe you?
I'd be surprised if he doesn't say everything, because he gave him his opportunity and taught him how to play, taught him everything he knows. And there he is, getting into the box. That was the one thing that he didn't do when he was at us for that short time. Get in the box.
Nobody get in the box.
There's a lot to say about that goal, but we've got another one.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Goal Motherwell, Dundee United 0, Motherwell 1, and it's Sondre Solholm headed in after a bit of a scramble in the box, and he gets the final touch to make it Dundee United 0, Motherwell 1. You're happy with that one, Gordon DL?
Yeah, big goal. Certainly needed, Gordon. The performances and the results haven't been great, slipping down that league. Dundee United a chance to breathe right down Motherwell's throats today, but off to a good start. And certainly needed a goal. So, but still a lot of football to be played. Let's not get carried away yet.
Just on that Aberdeen goal, I think, Mark, there's a lot of talk about the role Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is playing. He will be furious with his defence. Now, Duke is excellent, and he has been for the last few weeks, and everyone knows. So he does really well down the left, and he's twisting and turning, and he's making it tough for Leon King. He then goes down under a challenge from James Tavernier, which might have been a penalty, I don't know, but James Tavernier stops to tell the referee that it's not a penalty, at which point Connor Barron just sticks the ball in the back of the net. It is inexplicable from the Rangers captain. He actually ignores the ball to make a point of saying to the referee, that's not a penalty, and then Connor Barron runs and strikes it into the roof of the net.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
I'm not sure I've seen anything like that.
A professional football player at any level doing that is unforgivable. What is he thinking about there? I mean, if he's claiming for a foul, you could almost understand it, but he's trying to tell the referee he didn't foul it. And Barron's in 6 yards out.
He can't get. He can't.
He can still make. He's right next to it. He can still influence Conor Barron if it's getting there, maybe a wee bit too slow, but he can still influence him.
I think he knows he's conceded a penalty, and he stopped to try and plead his case. But you're quite right, it's unprofessional to stop. But he knew in his mind he'd committed a foul that would have been a penalty kick, but he forgot about the play still going on.
Good response from Rangers. Ryan Kent's gone close, but Ross McCrory, of all people, former Rangers player, clears it off the line. So Rangers looking to get back into it. The response will be, it's vital, Gordon, and that's stating the obvious, but that was the whole point of last week. When Livy scored, it was so early, and then Rangers didn't respond. It didn't even seem to wake them up. They didn't do much or anything at all until very late in the game. So if they can get back level anytime soon, Rangers still remain favourites for this football match.
I wouldn't be hitting the panic button. It's not ideal, of course it's not, because you will be looking as a manager onto that pitch and looking for guys to step up, i.e. Ryan Kent, for instance, Lundstrom in the middle of the park, Tavernier the captain. They've got to step up and lead by example. But the longer the game goes on, and if Jim Goodwin's plan now is right, okay,
hold on, we said they needed a response.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
And Rangers have got that response. They are level. Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1. And if you're looking for a goal in the league, you turn to Antonio Colak. It was Malik Tillman, he laid it off, Colak found the bottom corner, and Rangers are level. Maybe it's not going to be that type of day after all, Hugh Keevins. What a game we've got.
I did tell you, 2 for Colak, 1 for
you did.
Sakala, and a 3-1 finish. So just hold on.
They needed that right there, though. If that drifts on for another 10 minutes, it gets incredibly hard.
I am delighted you stopped me in my tracks. I had Aberdeen going in at 1-0 there. But what a response it is from Rangers. That's what I'm saying about characters stepping up and producing. Colak, one thing about him you've got to say, I know he gets criticised for his overall play, but you put a ball in a box, he can score goals.
It's his 11th league goal on his 12th league appearance, Mark.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable return.
Fantastic. And when you think that he was criticised heavily in the opening weeks, even though he was scoring then, and you think, well, what's the guy supposed to do? But he's continued that, and he's kept Morelos out the side, and people say, oh well, Morelos isn't up to speed, but he is. He's just not as good as Colak just now. So him and Yilmaz are probably the two that gets pass marks over these past probably 6 weeks from a Rangers point of view, and they're going to need him again this game, because would you back Morelos digging you out a hole? Colak's your best bet in a minute.
See that goal scoring record you've just read out there, gone. You played Napoli the other night, and he's not in starting. I would feel really disappointed if I was a striker. Now I know that people will question that. Well, he doesn't like to play up. He can't hold the ball, and he doesn't do X, Y, and Z. But the one thing he does as a centre forward, the most important, he puts the ball in the back of the net if you give him a chance.
And then Rangers keep pandering to Alfredo Morelos based on what he once did for them. And Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has fallen into the trap, having told him earlier in the season that his attitude was poor. He brings him back and plays him at the expense of Colak, and Morelos does absolutely nothing.
You wonder if the other night that was actually just Colak getting rest ahead of this game.
Well,
I think even have your Colak though. You joined Rangers to play in the big stage, and so point. You think, would I rather play against Napoli or play at the weekend against Aberdeen? Well, you'd play in both, but that Champions League game,
that goal will be massive psychologically, Hugh, because just before, Ryan Kent was dispossessed at the edge of the Aberdeen box, and that's when you really heard that groan, the anger, the frustration. The crowd was really starting to turn, and up pops Antonio Colak, and now it feels entirely different in there.
Of course, and as I said, you find out about people in adversity. So Colak has the bottle for it, and the goal scoring record in domestic football is absolutely wonderful since he joined Rangers. So you can tick off those you can trust and those who look a bit ropey when the heat's on. So Colak is 10 out of 10 so far.
We're focusing on Rangers, and quite rightly so, because they're the ones under a little bit of pressure. Go 1-0 down. Jim Goodwin as a manager must be fuming. You know, the law the minute you go 1-up, especially at Ibrox, is make sure don't give the men back quickly. But Rangers have carved them home.
Yeah, I think about 6 minutes between those goals. Let's do more incorrect answers on the teaser, Hugh.
Yep. Not including Old Firm games, name the last 7 players to score a hat-trick against Celtic or Rangers in Scottish domestic football or the Champions League. Not the qualifiers, Champions League proper.
There's still 2 places left on this podium. Only one person has all of the correct answers. So remember, it is domestic and Champions League games only. It doesn't include Europa League. It doesn't include qualifiers either of the Champions League. Let's see if we can make some headway here. Jamie McBride says Rooney, Wayne,
no.
Adam,
no,
Mickey, I don't know. No Rooney's on there. Kevin McIntyre wants to throw Johnny Russell's name in.
Nice fella, but not on the list.
Okay, loads of people going for Benzema. He only got 2 that night for Lyon at Ibrox.
Been fooled by the Ballon d'Or.
Many of you are thinking. Jamie McBride might have them all or most of them actually now. Maybe we do have a third person on that list. Of course, one of them was quite recently. That's maybe why we're asking this question. Keep your guesses coming at Clyde SSB. There's been another goal in the Gordon Dalziel derby. Wraith Rovers 2, Partick Thistle 0. It's a second for Aidan Connolly as well.
Was Aidan Connolly not at Partick Thistle at one stage?
I think he might have.
Yes.
Yeah. But Thistle going through a wee sticky
I
period
wonder if the lad's playing with Wraith, 6'9" lad up front.
I think he's only 6'8" actually.
Is he only 6'8"?
Yeah, I think
he'll not be good in the air.
Aidan Connolly wasn't at Partick Thistle though. I don't know where you 3 have got that from.
I thought he was on loan. No.
It's the way you 2 were so convinced about it when
I
you
just
suggested
agreed.
it.
I
thought
just
it was-
agreed with Hugh because I thought Hugh's in good form this afternoon. So I just went along with it. I had no idea.
Did you notice I was the only man there last night with a suit on?
Obviously.
yeah, I did take funny from that.
Yeah.
I remember bring that up tomorrow in Super
A gentleman dresses appropriately.
Is John Friedrichsen playing for Wraith Rovers? I don't know. That's the man you're after.
Yes.
6'8".
6'8".
6'8". John Friedrichsen.
That's a good outball.
This reminds me actually. Did you remember Thursday night's Beat the Pundit when he lost?
Okay.
An absolute disgrace this week, by the way. 2 defeats in 1 week for you.
Listen.
Marvin Bartley lost in between times. 3 defeats in a row for the pundits. Unheard of.
Who won? Kenny
you
Miller
and Kenny Miller.
Yeah.
Keeping things afloat.
I told you that's why I'm going with you today. You're in form.
Do you remember the guy come on? Connor, his name was. I think he was from Belfast, and Gordon was calling him Wee Connor. And I was sort of joking, and I said Connor's probably 6'7", and Connor said, "Oh, I am 6'7", and Gordon was going, "Is he? Well, he's a wee guy. I can tell. I'll meet you over in Belfast." He was saying, "I got a picture of Connor. Connor is 6'7" between the eyes. You see the size of this guy.
He said I'm as wide as a Clyde. I'm shouting you're as wide as a bar.
He's absolutely massive.
Is he?
And he's like a 3 handicapper at golf. So he says once he's ragdolled you up and down the streets of Belfast, he'll beat you at golf as
I'm
well.
quite happy to meet Connor.
So there we go.
You mean Mark?
No, you're on your own this time. You're on your own this time, unfortunately.
Take Roger with us, battling ram, and you go, Roger. Get Roger with the feet in the middle. Oh, there you go, Connor. Take a bite of that. Get me your strand, Roger. Get me your strand.
You've got issues. See how your mind works or doesn't work.
Connor's eye.
Poor Roger. He's at Easter Road. He can't defend himself.
He's at Easter Road.
Tight, Roger.
He's at Easter Road watching Hibs draw 0-0 with St Mirren.
Yeah. I have to cheer him up. He'll get me back. He'll be sitting there.
I had to check that because I can't remember if the goal got chopped off or not, but it did. So it's goalless there. Hibs against St Mirren. Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1. Quick equaliser from Cholak after Connor Barron had put Aberdeen in front. Motherwell still lead at Tannadice. Sondre Solholm with the header. St Johnstone 1 up. Stevie Mays finding a good bit of goal scoring form. And their featured championship game, Hamilton 0, Cove Rangers 1.
Well, it's a little easier for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst to not have enjoyed the half-time whistle if they'd been 1-0 down. But as Jim Goodwin said pre-match. It's all about mindset, and Rangers have had the nerve. They've held their nerve and they've got the equaliser. It's now about what they can do from here and what Aberdeen can do from here, because they looked very pleased with themselves when they scored that opening goal, but it would appear that they're on the back foot.
I just wonder what the reaction, if it will stay like this to half time, even 1-1. I wonder if the Rangers fans will be happy enough with that.
I suppose what's maybe worth bearing in
How
mind
they're
is, the Aberdeen goal did come against the run of play, and then Rangers go and respond pretty quickly, don't they?
Well, everybody's talking about a decent performance, and by the sounds of it, Gordon, Rangers are producing that. Yes, they've got caught with the sucker punch in the goal, and we'll probably hear fans at the open line talking about, the performance of their captain Tavernier, who they're not too happy with just now. But the response is what they were looking for, and I'd imagine they'll be bombarding the Aberdeen goal, trying to get that one that gives them a little breathing space.
Yeah, definitely a positive response from Rangers. Now we find out if they can take a lead into the break or not. I suppose what's interesting though, Mark, about the Aberdeen goal is it's proof, in case they needed it, that Aberdeen can actually hurt them. You've seen teams come to Ibrox before, and you can always just nick a goal, maybe from a set play or a bad mistake or whatever, but Duke showed exactly what he's capable of. The Rangers defence will be under no illusions as to how dangerous an attacker he is.
Well, it is fragile, that back line. Tavernier not playing his best stuff. Then King, young player, looks promising, but I don't think he's playing that well just now either. Davies beside him, of course, a couple of errors the other night, and then you've got Barisic, who was dropped but has now been recalled. So it's a fragile backline. If you're Duke, you must be saying, get me the ball and allow me to run at this backline, because you get success. But the problem for Aberdeen is getting up the pitch just now. Rangers are starting to control things and pin them in a wee bit, but it's he's certainly a danger, Duke. I liked him ever since he came. You seen him on the first day of the season. Was it first day he scored his goal when he ran through, and he's been performing well.
He's an absolute handful. Ramadani's gone into the book for Aberdeen a few moments ago. Michael Beale is at Ibrox, Hugh.
Yeah.
He's sitting up in the director's box watching the game.
Do you know what?
No.
I'm sure he was invited
I'll say
weeks
this
ago.
very seriously. He shouldn't be there.
Why?
Because he knows what's going on at the club. He knows his name has been linked to the job. It does Giovanni Van Bronckhorst no favours whatsoever to be sitting there. It just puts Van Bronckhorst under even greater pressure.
Maybe Michael Beale doesn't. Maybe it's on. The job thing is not even in his head though. He's a professional.
I'm wondering why he would be here.
Lots of people going back to former clubs.
But he's not coming up against Rangers or Aberdeen.
No,
surely his time could be. But surely his time could be better spent.
Okay, so
Michael Beale. What if QPR were one each now?
So hold on. So Michael Beale, who's now doing a good enough job at QPR to be near the top of the league and be getting linked with Premier League jobs, is now getting a lecture from us on how to spend his spare time.
He's a professional football
I just find
man.
it odd where managers go and they'll look at the team who they're coming up against in another few weeks. Probably this was the ideal opportunity rather than go to Ibrox.
For all you know, he's up here tying up the loose ends of the house that he sold from he lived here or whatever. You're all so judgmental.
He could be.
Yeah.
By the way, might not be. I just made that up.
A professional football man wouldn't. A proper professional football man wouldn't do that. He wouldn't go to the game.
So now the accusation has gone as far as that Michael Beale is not a proper professional football man.
He should think more of a fellow professional in Giovanni Van Bronckhorst than to sit there. And he knows he'll be photographed, he'll be in all the papers tomorrow, and he does his old club a disservice.
To be fair,
never let it be said that we overreact.
It's terrible.
To things in here.
I was spreading the rumour last night. I was on Tuesday, Thursday with Joe Ledley next week because he turned up there. I totally understand, Gordon, it could be, but people will put two and two together and think, oh, there's a connection here.
He wouldn't go to Rangers, would he? After knocking back
in a heartbeat.
After knocking back a couple of jobs in the Premier League.
Well, he knocked back Wolves. What else did he knock back?
Maybe rumoured to Villa, but it was never going to happen, was it? I suppose. But Wolves definitely knocked back. It'd be an interesting choice.
Anyway, they have a manager, and it's 1-1 at the moment. Stirling Albion 1, Bonnie Rigrose 1, Kevin Smith has equalised there. We are not too far away from the end of the first half, so one last reminder of the teaser, Hugh, and I'll then do the answers in just a minute or two.
Not including Old Firm games. Name the last 7 players to score a hat-trick against Celtic or Rangers in Scottish domestic football or the Champions League. Not the Champions League qualifiers, the Champions League proper.
Right, quick. This is going to be a very well received decision amongst Motherwell fans, because you know the way these things work. There's been a VAR check for a red card. It has been given and it's been shown to Tony Watt, who's been sent off against his former team with 40 minutes on the clock. Dundee United trail by a 1-0, and Tony Watt's been sent off for, well, as it's a straight red card, because that's the only thing VAR can look at. A foul on Sean Goss.
Are you imagining it just now?
Burrows waiting on
a tunnel. Right.
Retribution time.
He's shoot down to there, slap him in the back. Have you ever seen Alan Burrows? Is a lovely guy, but he wears suits too big for him. Right, sleeves are down there, and he could easily wait till he gets by and just flick him. Boof.
Hugh Keevins, the Seagulls are flying high. 3-0 against Chelsea.
Wow. That's unbelievable, I have to say, because since Harry Potter went to Stamford Bridge, they've been very good, both domestically and in the Champions League, and my 13-year-old will be beside himself. I'll need to text him at half-time.
Another one of these in our featured championship game.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
No VAR in the championship, of course. Vertonen thought it hit his head, or says it hit his head. Ref says it hit his hand. Penalty Cove. Mitch Megginson scores it. Hamilton Accies 0, Cove Rangers 2. Right, Hugh, let's do the answers to this while we can.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Not including Old Firm games, name the last 7 players to score a hat-trick against Celtic or Rangers in domestic football or the Champions League. Scorers of hat-tricks against Celtic: Lawrence Shankland a week ago, Lionel Messi, first time you hear Shankland and Lionel Messi in the same sentence, and Neymar. Yes. Hat-trick goal scorers against Rangers: Mo Salah, Martin Boyle, Jamie McLaren, and Ivan Sproul.
Ivan Sproul, brilliant. What a great list that was, and a really good effort on the teaser. Well done to Jungle Boy, the Crazy Pony, and Derek Morrison. Derek is the winner, the Pony in second place, and Jungle Boy gets the bronze medal. Well done. How many did you
6.
two duds get?
We got 6. We had McFadden in there. Yeah, we had McFadden.
I don't remember Jamie McLaren's hat-trick.
Yeah, it was the 5-5, was it not? Remember that
chaotic
game at Easter
Neil
Road
Lennon's Hib.
around that
How
time?
was that?
I think it was around then. Accies fans 2-0 down. They're singing "Sack the Board," but they've also just scored as well.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Andrew Winter has scored for the Accies to pull them level. I don't know if they still want the board sacked or not. Not pull them level, sorry, pull them back into the game. Hamilton Accies 1, Cove Rangers 2. Airdrieonians 3, Montrose 0. Craig Watson with the goal on the stroke of half-time. Half-time whistles are starting to go around the country. None yet in the top flight. Of course, VAR checks maybe slow things down a bit in the top flight. And it's been lively today. Hibs thought they'd scored, got ruled out, and Tony Watt got given a straight red card against Motherwell.
Is this the only game that there's not been a VAR check? The Rangers Aberdeen one, or was there one at St Johnstone? No,
I mean every goal gets checked though, doesn't it? I know what you mean in terms of
decision. Yeah,
VAR checked on Stevie May doing the griddy, but they let him stay on anyway.
Hugh Keevins has actually just said the griddy on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. He's down with the kids.
Yeah.
Brighton 3, Chelsea 0, Hugh, at half time.
I know, sensational, because Roberto De Brezzi, the new manager, has been doing, as they say in Neapolitan Rome, hee-haw since he got to Brighton, but today he's come away with a flourish.
That's not over, Hugh. I think Chelsea.
What?
3 each. I'm going for 3-3.
Here's my a very quick and simple social media experiment to show how bitter and twisted Scottish football fans are. The tweet that Motherwell sent about the goal from Sondre Solholm has been retweeted 26 times, and it's been up for 21 minutes.
Yeah.
The tweet about Tony Watt's red card has only been up for 4 minutes, and it's already been retweeted 52 times. Yeah. So there we go. The Motherwell fans are taking more pleasure in a former player being sent off than they are in that goal going in. Good to see the TVs keeping up to speed. They've just told us that the Hibs goal was ruled out half an hour ago, which was great. I did say with no VAR, Gabriel was bound to be finished first, and he is half-time at Hamilton.
Yeah, it's 2-1 to Cove here at the interval. A good end-to-end game to start off. Cove had a few decent half chances and took the lead in the 10th minute through Mark Reynolds. And the ball came out from an in-swing corner. The striker McDonough knocked it back in, and Reynolds rose the higher, showing his experience and looping the header over Jamie Smith in the Accies goal. The Accies were really struggling. A lot of groans coming from the crowd around me. They had a chance or two on the break through Lewis Smith, but nothing came of it, and they only had one shot that was from Lewis Smith. That was in the first 40 minutes, and it was looking really, really bad, and things went from bad to worse. Scully for Cove went to cross the ball in from the left-hand side of the box. The referee, Chris Graham, thought it hit Nico Vertonen's hand, even though the Finnish Youth International claimed it hit his head. He was incensed. The penalty stood. Mitch Megginson grabbed the ball, cool as ever, put the ball down the middle, and it was 2-0. Plenty of groans turned into full-blown sack the board calls. Getting a bit toxic here, you have to say that, but as if hearing the cries from the crowd, Accies lifted their game. Andy Winterd fired in just before the interval to give them a glimmer of hope. The game is still in the balance here. Accies could pull something back, but it doesn't look good for John Ranking, and there are plenty of boos going around me at the moment. Half-time here, Accies 1, Cove 2.
Bit of drama at Easter Road because Chris Cadden claimed his shot hit an arm. Don Robertson has gone to the screen, which you know what that usually means? Penalty to Hibs right at the end. Oh, and drama at Ibrox as well.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
What a time to score for Rangers. Rangers 2, Aberdeen 1. It was Tavernier's shot that was saved. The rebound was cut back to Lundstrom, and the man who scored last week against Livingston has got another important one this afternoon as well. Rangers 2, Aberdeen 1. That's a big goal, Hugh. What a time to score it.
Absolutely. And Lundstrom, who has come in for so much criticism of late, but he scored against Livy last week. He's put them in front this week. That's a big psychological blow to Aberdeen and a big psychological lift to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst.
In the 48th minute, Gordon Dalziel.
Great time to score. All of a sudden, as the Rangers manager changes his half-time team talk, Gordon, by positives. And Hugh's right. I said Lundstrom had to step up. He's certainly done that.
He has indeed. Martin Boyle's taking that Hibs penalty. I'm just going to stay with it. We've got a half-time at McDermott Park as well, but let's find out if Martin Boyle can dispatch from the penalty spot. He generally does, doesn't he? He's quite reliable on penalty kick duty. Is Martin Boyle.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
So this time Hibs are in front for sure. They've sent the goalkeeper the wrong way, Martin Boyle, from the spot, and it's 1-0 Hibs against St Mirren. Half time at Dermot Park. David Friel.
Half time, Gordon, St Johnstone 1, Kilmarnock 0. We thought this one would be tight, and it has been. Ash Taylor's own goal is what separates the sides so far. I heard Hugh Keevins say St Johnstone striker Stevie May looks like a bag of washing. Well, it was a bold piece of play that led to the goal in 4 minutes. May get the break of the ball as he went past Lewis Mayo and then fired in a cross. Taylor tried to clear, but the ball hit his trailing leg and flew past Zach Hemming. Stevie May did the gritty celebration, but even the St Johnstone Twitter feed said it was a cross, so there's no chance of him claiming it. It was a perfect start for St Johnstone. Since then, they've been content to sit back and challenge Kelly to break them down. Visitors have had a lot of pressure, a lot of corners, but they haven't really tested Jimmy Matthews enough. And as Cameron headed over, Kieran McInroy sent a 25-yard shot and she's passed upright. Cameron then had a shot saved from distance. But for all the Kelly pressure, Saints looked reasonably comfortable, and Stevie May had another shot saved just 7 minutes before the break. Half time, St Johnstone 1, Kilmarnock 0.
Half time, Ibrox, Andrew McLean.
Yeah, Rangers 2, Aberdeen 1, the half-time score, and a John Lundstrom goal right before the half-time whistle has really changed the atmosphere inside the stadium. Well, Rangers started pretty quickly. They were creating the better openings. A few minutes in, Ryan Kent hit the byline. He found Fashion Sakala with a cross, but he could only direct the ball over the bar. Kent also had an effort himself that hit the side netting. Kellaroos also had a couple of straightforward saves to make before Aberdeen went up the other end and took the lead. Duke twisting and turning in the box. He went down under a challenge. No penalty was given, but James Tavernier stopped to plead innocence. While doing that, he didn't make an attempt to go for the ball. Connor Barron ran in completely free, and he found the back of the net. The Rangers captain and the Rangers manager won't want to see that one back at all, but Rangers tried to respond quickly. The tension was growing in the stands. The crowd were making their feelings known, but that changed 27 minutes in. Malik Tillman cutting the ball across for Antonio Cholak, and no surprise, he found the bottom corner for his 11th league goal of the season. The home side continued to push. After that, Sakala had a couple of chances before the break. The first he should have done better with, one-on-one with Kellaroos, but his shot was straight at the goalkeeper. Another shot a minute later was blocked by the head of Anthony Stewart, but they went into injury time and got that goal to put them 2-1 up. James Tavernier's shot from the edge of the box was saved, spilled by Kellaroos though, and it was kept in play, cut back in to the 6-yard box, and there was John Lundstrom from a couple of yards out and played it into the empty net for 2-1. The fans here much happier than they were at the start of the game. The half-time score at Ibrox, Rangers 2, Aberdeen 1.
It's also half-time at Easter Road. Roger Hannah.
Burnley 1, St Mirren 0 at the break. One Hib striker denied a goal by VAR at the start. The other Hib striker given a goal by VAR at the end of the first half, and Hibs just about deserving that interval lead. It was a great move after 7 minutes. Joe Newell slipping in, Marian Cabrera down the left. He fired the ball across the face of goal for a tap-in for Mikola Kuharevich. He celebrated, it went back to the centre circle to kick off, and then the VAR Greg Aiken told referee Don Robertson that Cabrera had been offside in the build-up and the goal was cancelled. Hibs continued to push forward around 40 inches wide at the far post after ghosting into the box in 9 minutes, but David Marshall had to look sharp at the other end in 16. A fine diving save to deny Jonah Ayunga an opener for the Buddies. Trevor Carlson busy in the St Mirren net as well. He had a save from Boyle at the back post in 19 minutes, and then Marshall at the other end, a decent save from Curtis Main shot turning around the post after Hibs lost the ball cheaply just outside their box. Ewan Henderson should have done better than shoot wide after Marshall's quick clearance was fed to him by Boyle after 24 minutes, and Hibs at that stage looked the better side. Joe Newell tried to burst forward. He was tripped by Alec Gogic for a booking 7 minutes before the break, and then as the match went into 2 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the first half, the key moment, Chris Cadden coming up from right wing back, turned onto his left foot, he had a shot into the whole ruck of St Mirren bodies. He claimed straight away, as did his teammates, that it had struck a hand in there. Don Robertson advised to go to the screen in front, in between the dugouts by Greg Aiken, and he had no hesitation in pointing to the penalty spot, and Martin Boyle had no hesitation in finishing it, sending it Carlson the wrong way for the only goal of the half. Hibs 1, St Mirren 0.
And it's half time at Tannadice. Here's Selena Jackson.
Half-time, Dundee United 0, Motherwell 1. United actually had all the early pressure at the start of this game here. They were forcing a couple of corners in the first few minutes, but they just couldn't capitalise on them. Then we had Stephen Fletcher, who's back in the starting lineup after scoring last weekend. He was clearly keen to impress. He had a acrobatic overhead kick, but that went just wide. That was within the first 10 minutes. Motherwell were a bit scrappy in the opening stages, but they did well to kind of intercept passes and disrupt United's flow. Then the ball ended up falling to Sondre Solholm in the 22nd minute after a bit of a scramble in the box. He managed to get his head to it to break the deadlock and put Motherwell ahead. Now, I thought everything was going a bit too smoothly here as far as VAR drama was concerned. Just a few minutes before the end of the half, there was a clash between Sean Goss and Tony Watts in the middle of the park. John Beaton ended up signalling for the check. It was pretty quickly resolved as well, and that former Motherwell striker was shown red. Dundee United fans booing as the whistle went. Clearly not happy as it stands, but I do reckon there will be more goals to come here. I may be filling in for Fraser today, but I'm just glad that his curse of goalless draws hasn't followed me up the road. Half time at Tannadice, Dundee United 0, Motherwell 1.
And we'll do a full roundup of the half-time scores next.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Half-time scores in the Scottish Premiership: Dundee United 0, Motherwell 1, Hibs 1, St Mirren 0, Rangers 2, Aberdeen 1, and St Johnstone 1, Kilmarnock 0. In the Championship, Arbroath 0, Ayr United 0, Hamilton Accies 1, Cove Rangers 2, and the Raith Rovers 3, Partick Thistle 0. In League 1, it's Airdrie 3, Montrose 0, Alloa 1, Clyde 1, Dunfermline 1, Kelty Hearts 1, Peterhead 0, FC Edinburgh 0, and Queen of the South 0, Falkirk 2. In Scottish League 2, Albion Rovers 1, Stenhousemuir 0, Annan Athletic 0, Dumbarton 0, East Fife 1, Elgin City 0, Stirling Albion 1, Bonnyrigg Rose 1, and Stranraer 1, Forfar Athletic 0. How did I make it through all of those scores with you falling off your stool, Mark Wilson? Are you all right over there?
I just burnt myself with coffee.
You poured the coffee all over him. Live on air, live radio, off to the A&E. I think he's going to have to go. And Gordon Dalziel has got absolutely no sympathy for him and is just chuckling away in the corner.
The cake nearly crashed.
They're actually the modern day Abbott and Costello, aren't they? Really?
Yes. That's boiling water.
That's funny, that, yeah.
It's not that funny.
Anyway, I think you need a breather, and the second halves are coming up next.
Clyde One's Super Scoreboard Podcast with Taggart's Volvo. Visit Volvo Glasgow for the Volvo New Car Sale event from the 12th to the 26th of September. Buy selected new Volvos and get your first 3 services for only $399. Clyde One's Super Scoreboard Podcast with Taggart's Volvo. The Volvo New Car Sale event ends soon. Purchase a mild hybrid Volvo from the XC range and get your first 3 services for only $399. Taggart's, part of the Lookers family. The winning team, all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Second half's about to get underway. In fact, we've already had a goal in our featured championship match.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Terrible start to the second half for the Accies. Cove Rangers have got a third and they're 3-1 up at Hamilton. Falkirk are 3-0 up at Queen of the South. Kai Kennedy with the goal. Are the teams back out at Ibrox yet? Andrew McLean?
Yeah, the team's just making their way onto the pitch at the moment here at Ibrox, and you know, we talked about the pressure here for Rangers and what the crowd would be like, and I think it genuinely was at one point in that first half was in danger of turning sour, because at 1-0 down, Ryan Kent then tried to break into the Aberdeen box. He was easily dispossessed, and at that point the fans here, they were up on their feet. There was anger, there were moans, there were groans, and it really looked at that point as if it could be the start of a really bad afternoon for Rangers. But getting that goal not long after was absolutely vital. Antonio Cholak doing what he's done all season in the league, and he finished well, and then the celebrations when that goal went in were massive when John Lundstrom managed to get that one in injury time. So be interested to see how the second half pans out. There has been one change as well. Ben Davies has come off at half time. It's Scott Arfield that's come on for him, so James Sands will drop into the back 4 alongside Leon King.
The Super Scoreboard podcast is sponsored by Taggart's Motor Group. Taggart's have Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. And as Taggart's are part of the Lookers family, one of the largest franchise dealer groups in the UK, you can browse thousands of nearly new and used vehicles in stock nationwide to find your perfect vehicle. They've also launched Click and Sell. It makes selling your car simple by using their trusted dealer network of over 150 sites. Why not give it a go today? See how much you could make on your old car. Taggart's have Land Rover showrooms in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showrooms found in Hillington. Check out taggarts.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements. Trade accounts available now. Call them today.
So, second half's getting underway, Hugh, and that was a big end to the first half for Rangers. It puts a completely different complexion on things, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It takes an immense weight off Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's shoulders. I wouldn't have liked to have seen a chart of the manager's heart during the first half. He's had that proverbial roller coaster of emotions. A goal down, Andrew McLean describing a crowd teetering on the brink, and then Cholak with his 11th goal in 12 games shows he's the man, not Morelos. And John Lundstrom, heavily criticised for his display against the Napoli in Italy, he's come up with the goal that puts Rangers in front. Now, for me, Rangers at home to Aberdeen, 2-1 up, half a game to play, There's no excuse for not getting all 3 points now.
It was all about timing, Hugh, for me. Aberdeen go in front. I think if Aberdeen can hold that for another 15 minutes, it could be a different picture. Rangers right away respond, 6 minutes, get back 1-1, and then right in the stroke of half time. Can't get better than that. It makes the place a different feeling getting in. It makes it different in the dressing room, different team talk, different encouragement. So Rangers just need to come out now and put the finishing touches, but don't write Aberdeen off yet.
I wonder if it's an injury to Davies that's forced him off. You would think so. He got taken off at half time. Was that Tynecastle? And Van Bronckhorst said that, you know, that was enough for him and he was looking ahead. But you wouldn't expect it to be the same today. You know, you wouldn't think he's thinking about Ajax. He's got a bigger 45 minutes here to worry about, and that's a blow.
It's not looking good for the Ackies.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Hamilton 1, Cove Rangers 4. Now, bearing in mind they were singing "Sack the Board" at 2-0 down, it's 4-1 already, and really loud boos. Lots of people pointing and shouting up at where the directors are sitting at Hamilton, and it's all turning a bit nasty there because that is a disastrous result amid a really poor run as well.
Certainly is. And I said earlier on, John's finding it tough just now. You know, they've always been a team to bring through young players, and he's no different in that, but he needs better from them. And look, we don't like to see anybody lose their job, but there's certain results, home results, that could cost you your job, and if it goes above 4, you're into that territory, I think.
Yeah, it's a difficult one for him. First management job, really difficult. But listen, you learn more from these sort of things if you're given the opportunity. And I know the Hamilton set up very, very well, and the fans won't decide if the manager gets the sack. The board are very strong. If they feel that, you know, looking down the line, this is the right way to go, then they'll stay with him.
A few heavy defeats being dished out down the leagues there. Drayonians 4, Montrose 0, Lewis Jameson hat-trick. Peterhead are 1 up on FC Edinburgh. Stirling Albion have gone back in front against Bonnyrigg Rosedale. Carrick's 13th of the season, makes it 2-1 there. Lots of goals going on down the leagues. There were a few changes at the break. You might be, oh, for goodness sake, the Ackies is the place to be.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Hold on, just keep the board for now. Andy Ryan has scored on the 53rd minute to make it Hamilton Ackies 2, Cove Rangers 4.
Good on him. Yeah, it's another player, Daz, that we set on his way. Yeah, Andy Ryan, Chucky at Airdrie.
Yeah, I'm sure you
did. To the bottom of the championship, we got him there. we helped him up that ladder.
Dunfermline 2, Kelty Hearts 1, Craig Whiten with the goal there.
The Dazzler and the Mushroom starring in Saving Andy Ryan.
I like it.
Yes, sure.
Very good. You've got a career in this, writing headlines.
Yeah, see, none of you caught David Friels at half time, did you?
No.
He said Hugh Keevins said that Stevie May looked like a bag of washing. Well, it was a bold decision. See, you all missed it. You know, we tuned in on this show.
Turned into a soap opera.
Remember that guy Sean Rooney just used to header things into the net for St Johnstone and win them cups. He's just scored for Fleetwood.
Scott Brown
2-0 against Accrington Stanley. Right, where are we? Let's get a second half teaser up and running, Hugh. Give maximum time on this one.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside two of the greats, Mendieta and Didier Deschamps. I have been managed by Cesare Prandelli and Mick McCarthy. I've played in the Champions League for 3 different teams and won 2 different types of major honour in Scotland. Who am I? So, I played beside Mendieta and Deschamps, been managed by Cesare Prandelli and Mick McCarthy. I've played in the Champions League for 3 different teams and I've won 2 different types of major honour in Scotland. Who am I?
The look on the face of Gordon Dalziel and the look on the face of Mark Wilson suggests to me that is going to be quite tough.
Yeah, I think it will be. We'll need to just
get your thinking caps on, please, at Clyde SSB. Dundee United are a goal down. They're down to 10 men as well, but they've just come close. It was a good save by Liam Kelly to deny Harkes, and we've got another one of these.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Rangers 3, Aberdeen 1, and a man who probably needed one of these. It's the captain, James Tavernier. It's one full back to the other. Lots of crosses that didn't come to much last week. Well, this is a Barisic cross, a Tavernier header, and Rangers 3, Aberdeen 1.
That's that then. So it adds a little spice to tomorrow's game, because the irony would be if Celtic then dropped something at Livingston, and Celtic habitually drop points at Livingston. They all do it. Brendan Rodgers lost points at Livingston. Neil Lennon lost points at Livingston. Ange Postecoglou lost points at Livingston. Celtic have lost points there every season since Livy came up in 2018. So the Rangers win today adds spice to the Celtic game tomorrow.
Rangers are in a place though, Gordon, where they just needed a win for themselves first and then sort of worry about what it means for the league table.
Yeah, I've got to say, you've got to give them a bit of credit. They've come under a bit
much better today.
Yeah, their performance, we're listening to Andrew Ibrox's performance, has been much better. They've showed good character, which was questioned by going a goal down, and they've come back and responded brilliantly. And James Tavernier, I think he'd need that for a confidence booster. As much as I'm a fan of his, I think he's a terrific player. I know that Rangers fans give him a bit of stick at times, but we get back to that question again about Barisic. He's like Marmite for a lot of Rangers fans. I still think he's a very good player. I really do. I think his delivery is brilliant. See, for a centre forward, I would love to play with somebody with the quality of a left-footed Barisic.
Yeah. Mark, Rangers have picked their moment, apart from going one down obviously, they've picked their moments really well here, because you get yourself level quickly after going behind. You then put the sickener just before the break, and then if there's any doubt at the start of the second half, they've gone and scored again, and actually they might even... Here's the chance, although it's all about the 3 points. Well, it's not, because Rangers fans have been looking for a proper performance. This might end up being a really convincing scoreline.
It's looking that way, if I'm honest, and it's a great time to score. You're right, Gordon, at the end of the half and the start of the half. It makes things a whole lot easier. But the performance level has been much better. You know, take away the 3 goals, they've still created numerous chances as well. Jim Goodwin will be fuming now, because if you go to Ibrox and you set up the way he set up, you need to defend crosses into the box like Livy did last week, and they did it with ease. Aberdeen look a bit fragile.
Yeah, and even the type of header it was, Tavernier had to sort of out jump someone in the box, and he's not the biggest. He's not like known for those types of towering headers, so it was a bit soft from Aberdeen, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I've got to give 2 things. I thought the quality of ball was very good, Gordon, and I thought the determination of the Rangers captain Tavernier to go and get on the end of it. And you've got to say, it's a really good header. A right back in that position. Yeah, a right back in that position. That will do him the world of good. He needed that today.
The big question is, has Michael Beale gone for the subway?
Graham Allen, on the back of the comment about David Friel and all the rest of it, he says Hugh's daft wee phrases are just part and parcel of Clyde 1 on Saturday.
We're all getting them now.
There. Oh, Martin Boyle's gone off injured. A blow for Hibs, yes. 3 weeks till the World Cup. A blow for him, first and foremost.
Well, we'll have to examine the extent of that. Roger Hannah's the very chap to establish how serious that injury is, but that would be an awful blow for Martin Boyle.
Yeah, sore one for Martin Boyle, so we wish him a speedy recovery. Rangers 3-1 up then on Aberdeen, look to be on easy street. Don't forget, Rangers fans, if you are impressed, and even if you're not, but I'm assuming you are, if you're impressed by what you're seeing, you can give us a call at full time and describe it all to us on the open line 01419511025.
I'm trying to see if Mark Wilson has cursed the mighty Seagulls, because Chelsea have pulled one back.
Oh yeah, 3-1 it was.
I'm telling you, to get another one, Hugh, in the next 5 minutes. My prediction is on.
I'm going to send my grandkids round to your garden to mess it up.
Sorry,
Chelsea swapped goalkeepers at the break. Maybe that's got something to do with it. I don't know. I'm assuming it was an injury, although maybe not. They've had some goalkeeping drama before, haven't they? They not tried to bring someone off and he wouldn't go, or the penalty shot.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I like that.
Right, what else have we got? We've already got some answers coming in on that second half teaser.
Get any guesses for this?
I'm getting there.
You're getting there.
Yeah.
Come on, it's a team game.
Well, we can't speak over the mics because
Write
we'll
it
give
down.
it away.
Well, let's give these two a helping hand, Hugh. Let's go for the first set of wrong answers, please.
He's not got them. You've got them.
I mean the question first, though.
All right.
I have played alongside Mendieta and Deschamps. I've been managed by Cesare Prandelli and Mick McCarthy. I have played in the Champions League for 3 different teams, and I've won 2 different types of major honour in Scotland. Who am I?
Okay, don't know if this helps you, Mark and Gordon. JD thinks it's Donati.
No. Massimo
No, Donati.
How did you get that?
And Gordy11 thinks it's Tori Andre Flo.
No.
I loved that.
I thought that was it. Is that what you had?
I was just writing that down.
I love that.
No. Wow. Okay, back to the drawing board, as they say.
Big handball claims from Rangers there. Nick Walsh says no.
Oh,
we had that before.
He always does.
Yeah.
I don't know what stage it's at. He's holding up a free kick at the moment to speak to William Collum. Who's in the
Willie will love this. He will love this.
headquarters. He's going to the screen.
It's a penalty.
Willie will say it's a corner.
No, it's not Willie's decision from now. It's Nick Walsh. He's going to go to the screen and take a look.
What did you say the average was last week? You go to the screen.
One
every
every
3 games, and now he's sitting on 2 for 2. Is he?
Yeah. James Brown of St Johnstone's been sent off, so they might be 1 up. But they're down to 10 men. Ackies have got a penalty.
Oh, go on, Ackies!
Oh, and now there's a check on the St Johnstone sending off as well to see if he actually isn't going to be sent off. Great. Just great, honestly. This is fantastic. Drama. Penalty, Rangers for handball. Nick Walsh has gone to the monitor and he said this one is a handball, so it's going to be a penalty to Rangers. The Ackies have scored as well, so it's 4-3.
What a game.
Now I'm going to hold the goal flash button for now, because we've got a lot of other stuff happening. Now the referee at McDermott Park has gone over to the screen, so is he going to overturn the red card for St Johnstone? This is incredible stuff. Rangers have the chance to go 4-1 up here from the penalty spot. VAR has intervened and has given Rangers a penalty for handball. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was seen just discussing it with the 4th official. Tavernier's going to take it, looking for his 2nd of the afternoon then. And this, well, I think the game's probably out of Aberdeen's reach anyway, but this, by everyone's assessment, would secure that, you'd have to imagine. So what a week it's been. The James Tavernier, he's getting all sorts of criticism. He's getting accused of being injured and he's not in form, and calls for him to be dropped. The other night he's about to potentially score a double. He steps up and hits the post. James Tavernier hits the post and away. So it's still 3-1 to Rangers. There we are. What drama we've got here.
The worrying thing for Nick Walsh is that VAR keeps proving he doesn't know what he's doing. So you'll have to be careful. But
I mean, see, the only thing about that, although it's true, it is what it's there for.
Yeah.
We can't have it both ways. It either corrects incorrect decisions or it doesn't.
I'm not blaming VAR, I'm blaming Nick Walsh. What does it take for the man to see a penalty?
He is standing 3 yards away
from
where the Aberdeen player Richardson handballs it, looking at it.
But do you not think he now's got the security that...
Yeah, but they do say you want to be more decisive, don't you?
Yeah, I understand
But
that.
I must admit, I'm surprised at the speed at which we've gone. 2nd week, we're already annoyed at how we're arriving at the right decisions. I don't know, I think maybe a bit of patience.
It is the right decision. It's a penalty kick.
I'm questioning the referee because he didn't give a penalty when Michael Smith clearly handled the ball against Celtic last weekend, and he missed another
but then
one there.
these VAR backed him up on that one.
Well, the VAR's thinking for him then.
But you're now comparing apples and oranges, because last week it backed it up as being a right decision.
That was 2 people wrong then.
That's not the same as this one, because it
doesn't suit my argument.
I know it doesn't, it never does. St Johnstone are not down to 10 men.
Well, how do I keep up with this?
It was, I think, again, one thing that I think everyone can agree on, hopefully in time you just shorten the delay, because that's taken an awful long time for St Johnstone, but they are still remaining 11 men on the pitch, and they're a goal up as well.
See, James Brown then runs back onto the field saying, I feel good.
I waited for that one. Well done.
And here's the thing, David Friel says he's amazed that it's not a red.
Oh.
There we go.
So he's disagreeing with VAR.
Well, we agreed on the programme last night, didn't we, Gordon? But when Antonio Conte went mad about VAR and said it should be impossible to make a mistake when you have VAR. But now we get carry on everywhere.
Absolutely. It was a bit of a quiet first half. And the strange thing is, from Selena and Whisper It, even from some Motherwell fans that I've seen, they think Tony Watts was harsh to give a straight red card after looking at it on VAR. So.
Maybe just get double slapped with the cuffs.
Nah, see, you've overstated this. Burrows and Tony Watt were spotted
cuddling
and been best of pals before the game.
Yeah, but Burrows can cuddle you for 40 yards away with his
just flicks. You're not going to get any Motherwell again.
I love Alan, he's a good lad.
Yeah, he got us out a hole, didn't he?
He certainly did. Looked after us. We'd have had to jump the wall in the old days. That's the way I used to get in Fir Park, over a wall.
Lubo's tweeted, and I'm sure we can argue about this later, I thought it wasn't a handball if it comes off another part of your body first. Which I think is generally true, but I must admit, who's the player again for Aberdeen?
Richardson.
He then makes quite a spectacular effort. It comes off his foot, but then it sits up, and then he sort of swings his arm up. So I do get where Lubo's coming from, but it wasn't like a deflection off his foot that threw it onto his arm, was it?
Yeah, it comes off his right foot, but then comes across his body, and it's his left arm, and it looks like he's trying to scoop it out the way, so it's pretty blatant.
Anyway,
goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Hibs 2, St Mirren 0. It's a double for Kiharevic. It was he managed to shake off Alex Gogic, and then a nice finish across the keeper. He's got 2, Hibs have got 2, St Mirren have got none, and it's a good day for Lee Johnson. Hugh,
did Martin Boyle not score with a penalty?
Oh yeah, ignore me. He was the one that got ruled out in the first half. VAR's done me. There we are. Yeah, he's only got 1, but Hibs have still got 2.
Yep, good day for Hibs. You'd think that one was done and dusted now.
Well, they'll go above Aberdeen in the table because you were talking before the game about Hibs, and it's a bit iffy with Lee Johnson, but Jim Goodwin's doing a great job. Well, tonight Lee Johnson is above Jim Goodwin.
Daz thinks he's got.
Well, you think you've got the teaser, do you?
He's well happy. He's shown me a picture of the guy.
I think I've narrowed it down. Yeah.
Well, if you're showing him a picture, that means you've googled this guy to try and help you.
I was clarifying it.
Red-handed.
No, hold on.
I gave you away there.
I know. Thanks very much.
Another handball claim from Rangers. Let's see what happens this time. Go on then, show me. I'll tell you who it is. Yeah, someone's told you that. There's just not a chance.
No, I'll tell you where I got it. That's why I went on to see if he played with that club.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that though. But anyway,
well done.
Nick Walsh has held up a corner to speak to Willie Collum, but he now waves play on this one, so nothing doing there. No clear and obvious error that needs to be reflected upon.
I mean, he is coming under some pressure, Nick Walsh, but you're right, it's there to help him along. I'm pretty certain he could do a game that's got less controversy in it. Is there any out there maybe?
I was going to say the appointments department, or however it works at the Scottish FA, they've obviously got a bit of faith in him to be given Hearts, Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen back-to-back weeks when VAR's introduced.
Is he now our top referee? Who would you say? Who's our top referee?
It's still Willie Collum, I think.
Yeah,
Willie's a man, isn't he?
Then John Beaton, Stephen McLean and Nick Walsh.
We've only had 2 weeks of it, but it's just his misfortune, Nick Walsh's misfortune, that he's been shown in a poor light in both of those weeks.
I think the second one was allegedly from Liam Scales. So again, maybe it should have been a second penalty, but
well, he turns his back on it, Scales, to block it, and it does look like it comes off his arm. Whether that is deemed that it was by his side,
the elbow's kind of tucked in, isn't it? It seems to hit his.
Do you think that's a penalty, Mark?
His elbow.
I think it's enough tucked into his body.
Yeah,
that isn't a penalty.
Yeah.
I think that's a correct decision.
Anyway, still 3-1 to Rangers. Look as if they will win relatively comfortable. Hibs have another goal.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
This is not the day the St Mirren fans had in mind. It's Hibs 3, St Mirren 0, and Henderson has the goal. Ewan Henderson. It was a fine finish actually. Melkerson's first shot was blocked. It then came to Henderson. He made no mistake, and Hibs are absolutely cruising. Hugh Keevins.
Yeah, well, as I say, for Lee Johnson, he leapfrogs at Aberdeen. Hibs would go on to 20 points. So very good day's work for Lee Johnson and for the Hibs players.
Wasn't expecting that. I thought I went for Hibs for a home win. I thought it'd be a difficult game. Thought it'd have been a tight game, but Hibs are obviously excellent at home, and 3 goals so far, so they'll be happy through Easter Road, and the Twins will be very happy singing out the songs, whatever it happened to be. What do you call them again? I forgot their names. I was trying by time to try and find the Proclaimers.
The Twins.
The Sunshine on Leith.
Craig and Charlie.
Yeah.
Arbroath 0, Ayr 1. Ben Dempsey's penalty on 70 minutes, putting Ayr in front there at Gayfield.
I worked with Lee Bullen, you know.
Did you?
Yep, the Ayr manager.
Doing what?
He came to do work experience at the Daily Record.
Did he really?
He's doing a course in journalism.
Wow.
And he came in and I showed him the ropes.
You told him a bit about football management as well, did you?
Yeah.
When he was a player?
No, I think he'd stopped playing, and he took a university degree in journalism, and part of it was a bit of work experience at the Daily Record.
Oh, tell you what, there'll be a good wee debate about this Tony Watt one. People are now sending me footage. One angle looks not very good for Tony Watt, but then the other makes you think that is a bit harsh. So that's going to be a nice debate as well, that one. Never far away.
Yeah, who said VAR would stop all the debates and we would get clear-cut decisions? If anything, we've spoke about the decisions more in this past week than we ever did. So I'll be interested to see that.
This will be the case every week in life now. VAR and Scotland are incompatible.
But again, this is what I said, this sort of self-sabotaging we do. I agree to an extent, because we're so, I'm not sure what the right word is. I'll tread carefully on that one, without being unfair. But you know, is this week we don't have to go back a couple of days where Antonio Conte is doing his nut and saying that it's impossible and all that. I don't think we're that different. I know we like to think we are, but every country has their VAR complaints and always has done, particularly after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But we keep thinking that it's only us that can't handle it, or it's only us that's getting it wrong, and I just don't get it.
Wait to the first Old Firm.
Are you still for it, Hugh? You still, because you were positive when it came out, were you not?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that there will be, obviously, in the majority of cases, there'll be times when it clears up and helps. But I just found that the Hearts Celtic game strange, because the penalties awarded were absolutely correct for Hearts in both instances. I'm still baffled, mystified by 2 people arriving at the conclusion that Michael Smith did not handle the ball.
Even if you were to agree or disagree, I'm just not surprised by that though, because of the way handball is. Forget VAR, watch any football game in any country, in any competition, and you're seeing weird and wonderful things with the handball, really, you're not?
Yeah, well, you go back to the VAR and Hugh talking about.
I mean, was that the Saturday then? Was it the Monday night football? There was chaos with the handball between West Ham and
West Ham.
Somebody
no,
remind me.
Was it not Tottenham Kane, the last minute one? No,
that was
West Ham.
I know what you're talking about, Gordon. Yeah,
I think it was West Ham. Try to think. Anyway, I'm going back to Hugh's point about the Hearts with the Smith. Now, I tend to agree that I thought it was a penalty kick, but as much as VAR had flagged up, you've got 2 officials, top class officials, that said it wasn't a penalty kick. So it's a matter of me and Hugh's opinion against their 2, and probably other people out there that agree.
And I'll definitely miss some off the list because I can't remember them all. But if you look at the number of offside goals that should have stood that wouldn't have, or vice versa, that it's cleared up even in the space of a week and a half, that's quite important. You look at Miovski last week, wouldn't have stood, was right to. On the other, in the same game, I think was it Duke that scored, he should have been offside.
Because those are the decisions that could cost people their job. So they need to be right, they need to be clear cut.
And they're the objective ones you're either off or you're not.
Yeah. So they're the important ones that are, VAR's doing a good job in so far. The other ones, we're always going to argue over certain things.
Right, let's go again on that teaser, Hugh. Let's see how.
I have played alongside Mendieta and Deschamps. I've been managed by Cesare Prandelli and Mick McCarthy. I've played in the Champions League for 3 different teams, and I've won 2 different types of major honour in Scotland. Who am I?
Okay, the good list this of wrong answers. Derek Morrison thinks it might be Mark Viduka.
Marco, no.
Stu Ram thinks it's Frank Sozzi.
No.
And on this week of all weeks, the anniversary of the signing, I have to mention that Dylan thinks it's your old pal Lubo Moravcik.
No, it's not Lubo.
It is not. Okay, keep your guesses coming, please, at Clyde SSB. You've got maybe... Yeah, you've still got a while, maybe about 15 minutes or so. And then we'll give you the answers and announce who the winners are on that second half teaser. It's at that stage, of course, where teams start to make changes. Josh Morris and Barry Maguire have replaced Callum Slattery and Blair Spittle for Motherwell. That would be a bit more of an uncomfortable finish than they would have liked. Gordon still only 1 up against the 10 men.
Yeah, when you go 11v10 for so long, Gordon, and you're leading 1-0, they've got to, obviously the home side have got to go and take a few risks. You're hoping to cash in that. You're hoping to, have an opportunity to put the game to bed, because the next goal certainly would put the game to bed for Motherwell. But while it's 1-0, and we've heard from Selena at Tannadice that Dundee United have created a couple of chances, so they've got to be careful. That'd be a poor result if it went 1-1 for Motherwell.
Remember, Stephen Gerrard got sacked, and then straight away the Villa players went out and won 4-0, and everyone's saying, what's going on here? Like, they've done the manager in, then your new manager bounce. Today it's Newcastle 4, Aston Villa 0. So reverting to type, albeit Newcastle are very good.
If Michael Beale gets the subway, he can get to Glasgow Airport, he could get over to Midlands Airport, and he could sit in the stand at Villa Park and see how he gets on. You've got to say Eddie Howe's done some job. Incredible. I watched Newcastle last weekend, and they're very impressive at Tottenham. Yeah, good side. Side. He's got
There'll be more to come as well, with the amount of cash coming into that club.
Those Seagulls are hanging on, Hugh, just gliding at the moment. You'd have to say Brighton 3, Chelsea 1.
Well, how long is it to go? What, 15 minutes to go or something?
Yeah.
The only thing I'm surprised is that that's a 3 p.m. kickoff. Brighton always seem to be the one that's on TV on a Saturday evening.
So Hugh can watch it though.
Yeah.
Scott Arfield's had a shot cleared off the line.
It sounds like Aberdeen are just taking a pounding now.
David Friel's having a tough time with the delays on VAR. There's another check for Liam Donnelly, who came on as a sub, had the ball in the net, ruled out. It was checked, it took a while, no goal there. Because it does take ages. He's wanting to get back to Cumbernauld for 8 o'clock. He says, I know that you need to get back for you're the masked dancer, and you're strictly.
Well, I love that new one. It's on now.
That's good,
the shows your voice or something, or listen to your voice.
Shows your voice.
I'm ashamed to have the same taste as you, but it's quite entertaining.
Mark Wilson made me feel jealous when he spoke about, look forward to match of the day tonight. I've got the 2 wee ones down from Dundee staying with us, and I have seen nothing on the television but Scooby-Doo since they arrived.
You could put worse on, absolutely. It's like a murder mystery. Hugh, you never know who it's going to be.
Scooby-Doo.
If you watch it to the end, it's never who you think.
Really?
Oh no,
you usually think it's the old creepy caretaker, but it's never the creepy caretaker.
Exactly, so it's too obvious then.
You made more sense last night when you were talking to Joe Ledley.
By the way, that was like Scooby-Doo watching they two. Oh my god. Charades.
Leave Joe alone. He's not here to defend himself.
They were doing charades, just asked where the toilet was.
Did he make his flight home, incidentally?
Just
flew last night.
But I was telling you guys when we were coming through town, and I said we'll get the subway. I'm a man that likes to travel by public transport.
One of the people.
He says no, we'll get that. I said get the subway. Come on. He was like, where's the subway? We walk in. He's like, wow. When was this built? Joe was here for 3 years.
When was this built?
1895 or something it was built, Joe. I had to say it's been here for years. He was amazed by it. He couldn't believe it, and he's been living in the West End. Yeah, did you not say that he
he was even impressed by its simplicity. Obviously,
I showed him the map. I said, "You'll know. Well, this will blow you away when you get downstairs and you see the map. But if you think of London, yeah, and we take him down. I show him just the ring." And he's like, "What? It's just like a
circle.
A circle, a loop." I said, "That's it. You just go round and round."
So he didn't even know that Glasgow had a subway at all.
He thought it was just built by the time he moved away. I said, "Mate, this has been here for a long time."
Look, I know they've done a lot of work in sort of dressing up some of the stations and so on, but with no disrespect to the good people who operate these things, if you take a look, does it look like it's just been built? Do you sit inside that carriage? Sit inside that carriage and
we
think,
want a cup of cabbages
and think this has just been built?
I know, remarkable. They have got new trains.
Can I just quiz you on something?
Yep.
You said for dramatic effect, you just threw it out at the top of your head there. I mean, when was it built? 1895. Did you know that? You were 1 year out.
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. I'm impressed.
How do you know it was 1 year out?
Because it was 1896.
Do you know that for a fact?
No, just producer Michael just
I
told me.
knew it'd be close.
Do you know? No,
I know my public transport.
The funniest thing about the full night, two ex-Celtic players standing there enjoying a lovely night, having a chat, and he kept flicking his beard up all the time.
His beard was outrageous.
It's impossible not to be attracted to the beard. It's like a magnet. I just can't want to touch it.
You are a pest.
Brings you off if you rub his beard. I enjoyed myself.
Pozog says, funnily enough, if you put burgundy trousers and a green t-shirt on you, Mark Wilson, you'd look like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
If I grew my hair, maybe.
Do you know what? You get every now and then you get these things that come along and just remind you how quickly time goes. Can you believe it's been a whole year since he was dressed up as 001 from Squid Games? It was Halloween, obviously.
That's what it was.
That tracksuit's still in there.
Yeah, it still hangs up in the office. A whole year. That only seems like a couple of weeks ago.
That was a great shout. Whoever was that, Callum? Was that Callum that got you? Or somebody?
I don't know who came up with the idea.
You looked well here.
It was yeah. You don't strike me as a man that dresses up, do you? You've not been to any fancy
Depends
dress parties.
Depends.
I mean, for Halloween.
Alright, Halloween. No, I've not been used to the Halloween.
Been invited to any fancy dress parties?
No. I hope Lubo's listening.
I thought my private life was getting discussed.
Were you not? Who were you last week?
I was Wally. Where's Wally?
Jeez.
Yeah. I looked quite well, and enjoyed it.
I hope Lubo's listening to the programme in the Czech Republic, because
I'm sure he will be.
A year ago he sent me a bottle of Lubo Moravcik gin for my birthday. So it's coming up, Lubo, 12th November. Off you go now.
Some game time for Alfredo Morelos. He is always the figure of much debate here, isn't he? He started the other night. Lots of Rangers fans felt he didn't take his opportunity. He's got about just over 10 minutes left to try and add to, I guess, in a similar vein to the game at Tynecastle, Hugh, where Rangers were cruising. He came on and got his goal. Can he do it again?
Of course he can, because Aberdeen appear to be there for the taking. They've conceded 3. There's been shots cleared off the line. Goalkeeper's been busy. The whole complexion of the day has changed. We're no longer talking about Giovanni van Bronckhorst and his job security. We're no longer talking about anything other than Rangers have done their jobs properly today. So we're very interested to see how that plays out with the fans between 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock here.
Yeah, one step at a time. It can't. He's not flavour of the month because he's won a game. Surely, Gordon. If you've got that depth of concern about where your team is, it can't be wiped out in 90 minutes.
No, but I think what can buy you a little bit of time and praise, Gordon, is the performance. And as I keep saying, I thought that today it was a big game for Rangers, and they went 1-0 down. And as a manager, you stand that touchline, you're thinking, I need big characters, I need people to stand up and be counted here. And to be fair to the lads at Ibrox and Rangers players, they achieved that, and they've got 3-1. Tavernier's missed a penalty. They've cruised this. The performance has been a lot better as well, and I think there'll be a lot of Rangers fans coming out there a lot more happier than after the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes when they went a goal behind. So yeah, they'll be looking to take that on to midweek against Ajax at Ibrox on Tuesday night, and I'll be looking forward to that.
Here is your 2-minute warning on the full-time teaser, the second half teaser. Why am I getting them mixed up today? Hugh, remind us of your question, please.
I have played alongside Mendieta and Deschamps. I've been managed by Cesare Prandelli and Mick McCarthy. I played in the Champions League for 3 different teams, and I've won 2 different types of major honour in Scotland. Who am I?
Right, couple of minutes to round these off. Derek Laurie thinks it's Givash.
Stefan, no.
Dave thinks it's Fabrizio Ravanelli.
No.
Right, I'll give you the answers in 2 minutes, and we'll announce who the winners are as well. We're just ticking down the minutes here. Alfredo Morelos has replaced Antonio Cholak. Another goal for him for Rangers this afternoon. His goal scoring record in domestic football is unbelievable. What did I say, 11 and 12?
Yeah.
Which is fantastic, of course, for him. Set Rangers on their way, and it's 3-1 against Aberdeen with 10 minutes of the 90 to go. So I'm not sure we'll get any late change in the outcome of that game, unless Aberdeen have got serious ideas. I think Hibs are home and hosed as well, 3-0 against St Mirren. The other one's a bit more interesting though. Motherwell still only 1 up on 10-man Dundee United. Remember, Tony Watt was sent off in the first half there, and St Johnstone 1 up on Kilmarnock. What a game we had in our featured championship game. We chose wisely. Hamilton 3, Cove Rangers 4. You wouldn't put it beyond the Ackies to get an equaliser there, would you? No.
I hope they do. I really do, because John could do with some.
He's a good friend of yours, John.
Aye, got on well.
I was going to say, I was waiting for the end of that sentence. I really hope Ackies get one, because John's my friend.
Yeah, it's always nice to be nice to your friends.
What happens to the fans if Hamilton Ackies get 2 and it's 5-4 for the Ackies, and they've been chanting sack the board?
Keep the board. But yeah, the Championship, what a league it is. We saw that last night. You can look how congested that league table is. I won't even look at the as it stands. I'll just wait till afterwards and see how tight it is.
When you look at those, the top 3, the names in the top 3 in the Championship, and to think one of them could be in the Premiership next year.
Okay, Morelos has scored, but the flag goes up, and now VAR has a check.
Well, come back to us in 5 minutes.
Yep. Well, that's the thing with offsides. It should
it's got to be quick. Yeah.
Well,
get the lines in.
It should be a bit quicker. You've got to make sure everything's in the right place. And reminder of the way check's over, no goal. There we are. So it was quite quick.
Getting our money's worth it this far, isn't it?
You saw a lot of stuff obviously in the aftermath of last week. It's worth bearing in mind that even although what the camera angle shows you, the lines are calibrated so that they are obviously straight and they do the job. That's where the technology is. That's why it's expensive. That's why just looking at a screen and sort of drawing your own line or whatever on it is not that reliable.
Yeah.
It's almost like VAR and Hawkeye is a better bet than an iPhone.
I've seen a lot of fans do that this week, post pictures of how can this be offside.
So the lines get calibrated before every game to make sure that they are accurate. So that's the way it's meant to work, certainly. But that's the latest on VAR. Alfredo Morelos had the ball in the net, flag went up, and it was the right call. VAR backed that up. So there we go. Clyde are down to 10 men. Paul Kennedy sent off with just a minute to go.
Are they losing again today?
No, they pulled one back last time I checked.
I think it was 1-1.
Still 3-1 to the Seagulls, Hugh. I think they might be alright. I think they might hang on.
I was wrong here.
Well,
I was just trying to keep you excited.
Biggest club in England, you give them credit.
That was my last game in England, Brighton.
At the old Goldstone.
Yeah, I was absolutely horrendous. I've got to
often hear him say that.
We've got a goal in our featured championship game.
Come on,
which way is it going?
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements,
and it is for the Ackies. It's Hamilton 4, Cove Rangers 4. What a game Gabriel is being treated to. It was a deflected Andy Ryan free kick. It was, how's this as well? It was an indirect free kick given because the keeper was time wasting. I cannot remember last time.
When have you seen that before?
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
That's a talking
I've
point.
never seen that.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Think he gets his goal this time. Alfredo Morelos, he taps in at the back post to make it Rangers 4, Aberdeen 1. Of course, every goal does get checked. It looks like that one's got more chance of standing, and if it does, that's exactly what we said, Hugh. He comes on to a comfortable environment and adds to an already positive result, just like the Hearts game.
It's turned into a bad afternoon for Jim Goodwin because they've conceded 4. VAR has disallowed a one Rangers goal. The post has cost Rangers another goal from a penalty kick missed by James Tavernier. They've been given a going over, having taken the lead. And I made the point before the game about the competitive nature of our league. Aberdeen are 11 points behind, or were 11 points behind Celtic at kick-off at 3 o'clock today. On that basis, 11 points behind with 11 games played, they will finish the season 38 points behind Celtic. Where's the competitive nature?
Ask the accountants.
Yes.
So it's been the same for a long time and shows no signs of changing, much in the same way that Rangers will lose to Liverpool and Celtic will lose to Real Madrid. That goal is getting checked now, Alfredo Morelos. Well, they all do. Every goal needs to get checked. So they're checking for a possible offside against Alfredo Morelos for this one.
It's no more than Rangers deserve, though. They have been good, particularly this second half. They've created, obviously missed a penalty. I think there's been a couple cleared off the line. So it's been a different Rangers performance than the one that we've seen, the last 3 or 4 weeks.
To go back to Jim Goodwin's pre-match point about it's all about mindset. Rangers, whether Morelos' goal stands or not, Rangers' mindset has clearly been perfect. They took the blow of going behind on the chin and they came back in a major fashion. And Aberdeen's mindset for Jim Goodwin must be extremely disappointing. They were going to Ibrox on a day when people were wondering if they might put Giovanni Van Bronckhorst under severe pressure.
And the goal stands. There we are. So it is 4-1.
And on that day, when everything was against Rangers, Aberdeen have been given a pounding. It's a bad day for them.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon, we spoke about it before. It's important for Rangers and they deserve credit for getting the win and a convincing one. But we did acknowledge it before. Sometimes you fall into the trap. Rangers should still beat Aberdeen like this at Ibrox. They have better players. What we do, and we do it with Celtic to an extent as well, you spend all week looking at the underdog and you're trying to make a case.
Yeah.
But ultimately, unless Aberdeen are at the absolute top of their game and Rangers are off theirs, this is the outcome you get.
To be fair, Aberdeen couldn't get a better case. They came to Ibrox with a team that really needed a win. Manager under pressure, players under pressure. They got off to the perfect start, leading 1-0. But listen, all credit to Rangers. Everybody criticises them when it's needed. Well done today.
I gave some extra minutes on this, I think, Hugh. Let's do it quickly.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Mendieta and Didier Deschamps. I have been managed by Cesare Prandelli and Mick McCarthy. I played in the Champions League for 3 different teams and I've won 2 different types of major honour in Scotland. I am Jockey Bjorkland.
There we are, well done if you got it right. Jockey Bjorkland. The third place was Gary Lenny. Crazy Pony the second fastest, and Daniel Miller was the winner. Well done to you. Even Gordon Dale got it eventually, but it took him a lot longer than you lot, believe me. Right, let's see if we've got any late drama. I don't think many of the games are in the balance. A couple are. Rangers are home and Hosdo 4-1. There's a bust up, a good old fashioned bust up at McDermott Park, says David Friel, so that's one to keep an eye on. Remember, Kelly trail St Johnstone by a goal to 0. 3 minutes added at Tannadice. What a turnaround it would be if the 10 men of Dundee United could rescue something.
Surely it's not Callum Davison and Derek McInnes that are busting up, are they?
I wouldn't have thought so. He said over the far side, so it must be players. I think David Friel will be it's just a booking for Liam Donnelly. That's all a bit underwhelming in the end. Dundee United do have a corner as they look. That would feel like a win, that, wouldn't it, Mark, if they could?
Oh, without a doubt. But by all accounts, I don't think they deserve much, do they? Well, their first half performance anyway
comes to nothing.
Disappointing day again from old side.
So anyway, let's see what we've got. Just a couple of minutes, we're nearly there. We sort of advertised last week, you could see it, that the time added on is lengthy because of VAR, but it's also inconsistent depending on what's been going on at the respective games. For instance, from now, 4 minutes away from full time at Ibrox.
Brighton 4, Chelsea 1,
and it's over. It's all over, Hugh. Be happy with that.
Oh, they'll be.
Will the grandkids be on the phone tonight?
Whooping and hollering. Yeah.
What a win that is.
Yeah, terrific, absolutely terrific.
Is it full time yet at Dundee United? I actually don't. The telly says it is. I don't know if we've heard from Selena yet, so we'll wait and see in just a second. But I'm sure we'll go there as soon as we possibly can. I'm not sure what the first game will be. David Friel had that late bus stop to contend with as well. Gabriel, surely he's finished in the Championship. Take it away, Gabriel.
What a match here. It has to be the game of the season so far. A brilliant 4-4 draw between Hamilton and Cove. The visitors looked home and hosed at 4-1 up in the second half, but a brilliant Accies comeback ensured it was a point apiece, and it may well have saved manager John Rankin's job. I'll start in the first half then. Cove took the lead in the 10th minute. It seems like a lifetime ago now. The ball came out from a corner. McDonough knocked it back in and Reynolds rose the highest. A looped header over Jamie Smith. The 2-0 lead came from the spot. Connor Scully went to cross the ball in. Referee Chris Graham thought it hit Miko Vertonen's hand. He thought it hit his head, but Mitch Megginson had the ball on the spot and, safe as ever, put it down the middle. 2-0. Plenty of groans from the Accies faithful. That was coming from early on. It turned into full-blown sack the board calls after that. However, as if hearing the cries from the crowd, Andy Winter fired in just before the interval and the game was in the balance. 2-1 at half-time. Megginson got his second early on the second half though. The ball broke to Scully wide on the left, who hammered it across the goal. Great ball, and Megginson tapped in at the far post to make it 3. Things went from bad to worse for the hosts when Cherry McDonough flicked in to make it 4. A lovely goal, by the way. Cove were absolutely cruising, and it was totally toxic in here, shouting and finger pointing at the board sitting just behind me. It was right on a knife edge in here. But Steve Lawson wasn't having any of it for the Accies. He dragged his team right back into it. Standing on the right flank, he put in an unbelievable ball to the far post. Andy Ryan couldn't miss. 4-2. 10 minutes later, Accies were awarded a stonewall penalty for a foul in the box, and Lawson coolly converted it to the keeper's right. They had 30 minutes to find an equaliser, and it came with 2 minutes to go. They were given an indirect free kick just inside the box after Cove goalkeeper Kyle Gawley was booked for time wasting. And because the ball was in his hands, the ball was active, it was in play, so it was an indirect free kick. He had been taking his time all game, it must be said. Lawson again rolled it to Andy Ryan, who smashed it onto the unrushing wall, and it trickled in at the far post. The result could prove to be a 6-pointer come the end of the season. It takes Hamilton off the foot of the table. They're up to 9th, and it ensures that just 2 points stay between them instead of 5. After widespread outcry all game claiming that Rankin had lost the dressing room, he can point to that second half display. It may well save his job, and at the full-time whistle there were no boos. A lifetime away from half-time. Cove have thrown it away here, but what a comeback from the Accies. What a game. Full-time here in South Lanarkshire. Hamilton Accies 4, Cove Rangers 4.
It's also full-time at Tannadice. Selena?
Yep, full-time Dundee United 0, Motherwell 1. A very frustrating second half for the home side here after losing Tony Watt. That straight red following a VAR check in the 40th minute. They did manage to make a good few chances, but it just wasn't to be for them today. Stephen Fletcher was brought down at the edge of the box early on in the second half, but referee John Beaton waved to play on. The fans were furious. Substitute Ian Harkes then came close in the 54th minute, but there was a strong save by Motherwell keeper Liam Kelly to send the ball just round the post. Jamie McGrath did well later on to find Fletcher in the box, but it landed just under his feet and he struggled to control it. It was a very strong performance by Motherwell today to cling on to those 3 points, and what a difference they'll make. That takes Stevie Hamill's men up to 6th in the table, and it sends Dundee United down to rock bottom. Full-time at Tannadice, Dundee United 0, Motherwell 1.
It's finished at Easter Road. Roger Hannah.
It has. Hibernian 3, St Mirren now 3 goals and back to 3rd place for Lee Johnson's side tonight. A thoroughly comprehensive win over St Mirren, who are leapfrogged and dropped down to 5th in the table. They were almost ahead after 7 minutes. In fact, they thought they were ahead in 7 minutes. June Newell slipping in, Marian Cabraya down the left. He fizzed the ball into the 6-yard box, and it was a tap-in for Mikola Kuharevich to open the scoring, only for the VAR Greg Aiken to bring the referee Don Robertson to the attention of an offside for Cabraya in the build-up to the goal. Didn't deter Hibs at all. They stayed in the front foot, round 40 inches past the far post after ghosting into the box after 9 minutes. David Marshall had to make a good save in 16 to deny Jonah Ayunga, and then again in 23 to deny Ayunga's strike partner Curtis Main with a shot that they tipped round the post after Hibs lost the ball cheaply. Ewan Henderson shot wide after Marshall's quick clearance was fed to him by Martin Boyle in 24 minutes, and the breakthrough finally came in stoppage time at the end of the first half, and VAR again heavily money involved. Chris Cadden cut in onto his left foot, a shot. It looked to hit Richard Tate's hand. Cadden was convinced it was a penalty kick, and the VAR Greg Aiken sent Don Robertson to the screen at the side of the pitch. He too was convinced, and Martin Boyle took the penalty and scored the penalty. That was a great end to the first half for Boyle, but a disappointing start to the second. He hobbled off injured just 3 weeks before the World Cup final in Qatar, where he's hoping to start for Australia. He seemed to go down in a tangle with Curtis Main. He tried to play on, but eventually just sat in the grass, and he looked resigned to his fate, coming off with Elias Melkerson coming on. 61 minutes, Kuharevich wide at the near post after Joe Newell's cut back, but Hibs would not be deterred, and the second goal came after 64 minutes. Great play by Kuharevich, and the angle in the box. He shook off the challenge of Alec Gogic, burst forward, and a nice finish across goalkeeper Trevor Carson and inside the far post. 2-0 became 3-0 3 minutes later. Substitute Melkerson saw a shot blocked in the box. It rebounded beautifully for Ewan Henderson, who fired high into the net from 15 yards to put a bit of a gloss on the scoreline. 15,256 at Easter Road. The majority going home very happy tonight, Gordon. Hibernian 3, St Mirren 0.
It's finished at Ibrox. Andrew?
Rangers 4, Aberdeen 1, the full time score, and it's applause from the home supporters rather than boos, because it was a much needed win and performance from Giovanni Van Bronckhorst and his players. They had to come from behind to get the points because Aberdeen scored first. 21 minutes in, Duke was twisting and turning in the box. He went down under a challenge. No penalty was given. James Tavernier, though, he stopped to plead innocence while the ball was still in play, and in doing that didn't make an attempt to go for the ball. Connor Barron rushed in and found the back of the net for 1-0. The fans were really starting to get frustrated, but they were only behind for 6 minutes. Malik Tillman cutting the ball across the box for Antonio Cholak. A calm finish from him to equalise his 11th goal of the Premiership season. It looked as if it was going to be all square at the break, but John Lundstrom scored at a vital time for the host. James Tavernier's shot from the edge of the box was saved. It was filled by Keller Roos. It was looking as if it was going to spin round the post and out for a corner, but Ben Davis kept it in, cut it back inside the 6-yard box, and there was John Lundstrom, who had the easiest of finishes for 2-1. James Tavernier made it 3 after half time, the captain with a back post header from Borna Barisic's cross, and Tavernier had the chance for his second and Rangers' fourth from the spot. Nick Walsh initially not giving a penalty after the ball hit Jayden Richardson's hand in the Aberdeen box. VAR, Willie Collins suggested he should go to the screen. He did. A penalty was given. Tavernier was unable to convert, though, hitting the post from 12 yards out. Alfredo Morelos came on and he found the back of the net not long after. The assistant's flag went up, though, and that one wouldn't stand. He did get his goal, though. The ball played across the face of goal a few minutes before the end, and all he had to do was tap it in to round off the scoring. It could have been a tense day at Ibrox, but it turned out to be very comfortable for the hosts at the end. The full-time score here, Rangers 4, Aberdeen 1.
Come on, Rangers fans, what did you make of that? How much better was it? David Friel has our final full-time report.
Full-time, Gordon. St Johnstone 1, Kilmarnock 0. St Johnstone move up to 7th after another big win, but Kilmarnock will feel aggrieved to lose to an own goal after putting in a real shift. Derek McInnes will also be asking questions about why VAR downgraded James Brown's red card to a yellow. A really controversial one, that. The winner came after just 4 minutes with Stevie May, the architect for St Johnstone. He burst into the box and sent it across. Ash Taylor tried to make the block, but the ball deflected off and into the corner. St Johnstone were content to sit in the lead after that. Kelly's chances were limited. Keir McInroy and his Cameron both had efforts, but Stevie May probably the best chance in the closing stage of the first half when his shot was saved. Kelly came out again, really put on the pressure, and then they thought they had a break when Brown got a red for taking out Liam Donnelly on the hour mark. Ref Craig Napier flashed the red, but then waited for the VAR advice. He then took an age to go over and check the screen. It was a ridiculous amount of time. Finally, he changed his mind and Brown got just a yellow. I think he was lucky, and I think Derek McInnes agrees. Kelly kept pushing and Donnelly had a goal ruled out for a foul, but May, man of the match, should have made it 2-0 with a brilliant headed chance. In the end, it didn't matter. Big 3 points for Saints. St Johnstone 1, Kilmarnock 0.
What a day it's been, and now it's over to you to have your say. Rangers fans, so much negativity, frustration, criticism, not just this week but for the last few weeks, and finally a big win, a convincing performance. What did you make of it? If you were at Ibrox today, even better, tell us what it was like. If you managed to see it at home, get in touch and let us know. How pleasing is it? How much of the pressure does that take off Giovanni Van Bronckhorst? Who impressed you today? What did you make of the standout performers? Let us know how you felt about all the big talking points. 0141 951 1025. Of course, massive wins for Hibs, St Johnstone and Motherwell, and we will also look ahead to tomorrow, which will see Celtic head along the M8 to take on Livingston. So 0141 951 1025 is your chance to have your say, and we'll speak to you next.